Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lesmeries joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Taberry here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Football Friday. That's right, kids, a Football Friday edition of the program. The spring game is tomorrow. We will get you set. You'll hear from Ryan Day at 9:30 on what he wants to see first. Where will his eyes go tomorrow at the spring game? You will hear from that coming up at 9:30. 10 o'clock, Ohio State lacrosse coach Nick Meyer is going to join the program. Monster match for his squad. They take on Maryland. They are currently ranked second in the country. We will ask him when he knew this team was special. And, of course, we're in the middle of this thing, so still a lot more special to come from that team. Tim May going to join at 10:30 on a Friday as customary. Get you set for the spring game. Doug Lesmeries at 11:30. And yes, Reese, we will talk about the quarterback return in Cleveland. I know you're very excited to do that, so we'll do that coming up in about 15 minutes from now. I did want to start with the spring game because it is they're kind of these things on the calendar here that we pay attention to, and one of them is the spring game. And I've always called it the unofficial start of spring in Ohio. It's not March. Middle of March. And honestly, it hasn't felt like it's going to be tomorrow either. It's been a pretty wet, cool spring all the way through so far. But typically, once you get here, you are into spring in Central Ohio. I'm not going to do anything silly and declare winter over as I did a month ago, because obviously it wasn't, as we've had some of that weather here over the last month or so. But typically, that's the way that it goes. And much like the Memorial is the unofficial start of summer in Central Ohio, and much like that first Buckeye football game, this year it'll be in August, but typically it's in September, is kind of the unofficial start of fall. There are things that we have on the calendar that we look forward to around here, and this is one of them. It is a special, unique experience. The first time I went, what struck me by it, this was in 08. I got here in May of 07, and so the first one I covered was May of 08. We actually had the broadcast rights at Channel 10 at that time. So we would broadcast the lacrosse game. In those days, they played the lacrosse game first. I want to say in 08... First one I did, I'm pretty sure that it was Ohio State, Michigan lacrosse first, and then the spring game followed it. But what struck me by it was, first of all, the amount of people in attendance. Those were the days where you wanted to try and set a spring game record crowd, and there was all of this chest puffiness coming out of the South about Alabama with 90,000 people or whomever with 80-some thousand people. And what blew my mind is there was a packed shoe that day. And it was the difference being, of course, in the South, they allowed you to come to the spring game for free. At Ohio State, they charged. So not only did they have a bigger crowd, but they actually made money on it, which kind of blew my mind. The other thing that I thought was really cool, though, and even more so than the financial gain, was the fact that it was a chance for people who don't normally get to go to the shoe or cannot afford tickets to the shoe, and that's something that's been even exacerbated through the years in terms of the cost of attending a game. It was their chance to go. It's hallowed ground. You walk into the place, it hits you emotionally. And the spring game was an opportunity for anybody who wanted to walk into that stadium and see the Buckeyes. There was this sense of also, and every year there's this, and I think that's where this year's a little bit different. There haven't been a whole lot of these where you've had a sense of anticipation, a yearning to see young guys play, but at the most important position. And to have three young stars at quarterback and kind of getting our first extended look at all of them. And I'm telling you, folks, you're going to see a lot of those three quarterbacks because they've only got three, first and foremost, and also because Ryan Day needs to. He needs to see it. I think what you're going to see tomorrow in the spring game is a real look at those three quarterbacks. I think that it's a mammoth day in terms of trying to decide who inevitably will be the starter. I think all these little benchmarks, these boxes you have to check if you're trying to win that job. I think performance in the game tomorrow is certainly among them. I don't think it's any coincidence that Ryan wants a monster crowd in there tomorrow, and hopefully we can provide that for him. He wants to see how these guys play as close to the fire as they can. The next time they're going to be in that stadium and playing a game that matters, it's going to be against Texas. So he's trying to simulate some game-type environment. So I think this year's game, because of how special that is and how unique that is, that this is a true quarterback competition that is neck and neck, in the words of Ryan Day, on Monday. And I think that these snaps are going to matter a great deal. And I think you're going to see a lot of these quarterbacks, which is something you haven't done in previous years, where guys are in and out and they're in quick, and we'll see on down the road. I think you're going to see a lot of snaps from Julian Sain and Lincoln Keenholz and Tavian St. Clair. And so an opportunity to see what's next for the Buckeyes. You guys both grew up around here. Your first spring game memory is what, Reese?
Gosh, you'd have to go back to the 90s. I mean, you park in Arlington, kind of in those houses south of Lane in those neighborhoods, and then you just make the walk to Ohio Stadium. And you did it when the trees were blooming. You did it when it kind of smelled like spring. It was most years a little bit warmer than this, but yeah, from as long as I could remember on, it was, hey, you want to go to the spring game? Like, it was, I don't know, rite of passage is the right word, because that term feels like it gets thrown around too much. But for anybody in Columbus that loved Ohio State football, it was something you had marked on your calendar before Easter. Sorry, Jesus. Before Memorial Day, before the 4th of July parade that UA holds so dear. Yeah. It was the spring game, and that was one of the things that I was so dismayed when they made it the spring showcase. I was like, no, that doesn't count. I don't like that. And so I'm glad they've rebranded it, and you need to have this be live fire for those three quarterbacks, not only for the quarterbacks, but for the offensive line that you're trying to kind of cobble back together with two transfers at your tackle spots, your running back situation. You have everybody but 2 and 4 needs this spring game to be as football game-like as possible, because the second best team rank-wise is coming into town on August 30th. That's unprecedented. This whole thing's unprecedented.
Yeah, that's a real one.
I remember going to a spring game when I was little, and I don't remember how old I was. I was probably somewhere around 8, 9, 10 years old, I believe. But I remember the one that I still remember, and it was for hometown reasons, is Grove City had a running back named Lou Willard who went to Ohio State. He tore up his knee his senior year in high school and didn't get to play, but he still went to Ohio State. And I remember him playing in his first spring game. I think it would have been 93. And just remember watching that so much, because I remember when I was little watching Lou play on Friday nights, and it was so cool and seeing how he would do. And that's the first spring game I really remember paying attention to.
You think of that dream. I don't know that player. The name doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm sure it does to most people in your town. And you think about that dream, that while a little bit of an off-ramp in terms of the injury that happened to him in high school, as you tell the story there, that is a dream of every kid who grows up around here. I mean, think about Tavian St. Clair. Bell Fountain. All he's known his whole life is Buckeye excellence. That's it. That's all he knows.
Jack
it's his hometown
Sawyer,
team. Oh, gosh, those guys who we just had. I mean, there's a litany of them. It's special for the town. It's special for the region. I cannot imagine. I mean, Tavian St. Clair was around for the run to the national championship, but this is him putting on the jersey, and this is him. He's going to throw the ball around, play a little pitch and catch. He's going to put on a silver bullet hat, and he's going to go play a little pitch and catch at the shoe. And he's not in this quarterback competition. There's no way he could be. He should be a high school senior. But those type of moments are things you're never going to forget. The other thing that always happens at the spring game is there's wild overreaction to what we see, because that's what we do. We wildly overreact to things. So I'll never forget Threes and I being like, I don't know if Fields can throw it. I don't know. This could be more like first-year Braxton. And then what you realize is that with an entire summer and with camp and with a quarterback maestro like Ryan Day, Justin Fields has one of the great 2-year runs in the history of the program. But there are these wide swings of things that happen. Remember, Will last year in the spring game was not particularly sharp in it. So it's one of those things where you kind of take it with a grain of salt. I do think I think this year is the exception, though. I think that you have a real quarterback derby on your hands. I think every metric for Lincoln Kienholz and Julian Sayin matters. I think it matters, and I think the game tomorrow matters. I think how they perform under the fire matters, and I think it matters that you open with Texas. I think the spring game takes on an entirely different feel because the next time you're in there, the Horns are in there, and that's a different vibe, man. That's not opening with some of the teams we've opened with in recent years. It's been a long time since Ohio State has opened with something like this. You probably got to go back to, I'm off the top of my head, I can't think of one where it's the opener.
Like Texas? Never. I'm willing to say never.
They used to play in those kickoff classics in the 90s.
Like West
some
Virginia?
of those were pretty good.
Yeah, they played Miami one year in East Rutherford.
A couple of those. That's a long time ago. Like usually you get a warm-up and then you'd get into this.
Yeah, I think that was 99.
So to start with this is, yeah, and I told Ryan this yesterday when we had him on. I still have not found an instance, and we don't know if this is going to be the case, but I don't know of an instance where number one has played number two to start the year.
I don't think there is. We've seen it in week number 2.
Right?
Yeah, but not opening week.
No, it happens early, but usually not week one. So, and I think that's probably how it's going to go. I think Texas could end up number one. Ohio State could end up number 2 in the preseason poll. That feels very likely to me, or it could be inverted. We'll see. So a lot on the line this Saturday, and to get you set, we will be here for the next 3 hours. In addition to that, I should alert you that if you are out and about tomorrow or en route to the spring game, keep it right here at the Fan. We will begin at 10 o'clock with AR, Tim, and Dave Biddle. They are outside the shoe. Then the Ohio State Network coverage starts at 11:45. There are tickets still available, just $8. No fees on that or nothing. $8, get in the door and see the Buckeyes perform, and hopefully there's a big audience. Big recruiting weekend as well, and a big audience always works for that. Speaking of big audiences, and at least an audience of one, celebratory screams and yells were heard from 770 Twin Rivers Drive as the great Eric Reeser was thrilled with the signing of Joe Flacco. What does it mean for the Browns? We'll get to that coming up next. We're off and running on a Friday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
So we bought an actual shopping mall and put one of the largest Honda dealerships in the world inside of it. Hi, it's Steve Lindsay with Lindsay Honda. So it's big. We house about 150 to 200 cars indoors, lit, all unlocked, ready for you to be able to view and see. A fully tempered climate. Doesn't matter if it's raining outside, 10 below zero, super hot. There's real trees inside, and it's just a casual environment. And if you haven't seen it, it's really a cool story, not about its opulence. It's just a cool story to see what was a dilapidated old mall being reinvigorated into a pillar in the community that everybody benefits from.
This month at Lindsay Honda, choose a 2025 Honda Ridgeline RTL, Honda HR-V or CR-V, and pay just $299 a month at our famous Lindsay Honda Trade-A-Thon. We'll trade for anything and give you $1,000 more for your vehicle all month long. Visit lindsayhonda.com for details.
Spring forward, Columbus, with the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling Services. We're here to thaw you out with this limited time offer. Get up to $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer is too good to pass up. The Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling now together to serve you better with $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer won't last. Call us today, 614-232-2222. That's 614-232-2222.
Hey, it's Anthony. Of course, I sit and do the show 3 hours a day. But after that, I'm looking to get things done and enjoy the spring weather. So I want to be on my feet a lot, playing golf, working out, just moving around. I was introduced to the Good Feet store because my feet were aching way too often. And what I found there is a 3-step custom arch support system that has me feeling awesome. My personally fit arch supports have helped realign my feet, reposition my body into a more ideal position, and not only that, strengthen my feet to help support me. It's made all the difference in how I feel every day. The Good Feet store is going to help you where you need relief and find the arch supports that work best for you. And when you wear them as a system, their arch supports are more effective at long-term pain reduction and elimination. So go in, take the free test walk. Good Feet arch supports are immediately available. Their products are proudly made in the USA. They're on Polaris Parkway and on Stringtown Road in Grove City, or at goodfeet.com.
The Blue Jackets are making a push for the playoffs, and they can't wait to fire the cannon right in your face. Wait, that was a touch violent. I'll try again. It would be helpful to chart their progress right here on The Fan. Thank you kindly.
Does heel pain make you hobble just getting out of bed in the morning? If heel pain is affecting your ability to exercise and meet your walking or running goals, relief is as close as your local podiatrist. Podiatric physicians are highly trained doctors who specialize in medical and surgical treatment of the foot and ankle. Ohio Foot and Ankle podiatric physicians are available across the state and are devoted to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care.
For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Cloudy skies continue this afternoon, high near 50. We'll clear it tonight as freezing temperatures move back in. We'll start Saturday cold, but more sunshine will take us to the mid-50s by the afternoon. We'll be in the 60s on Sunday with a few more clouds, and 70s Monday, but the day will end with a chance for showers and storms in the forecast. That's your latest 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
Common Man has spent the past 18 years telling you how much he hates people. And yes, that probably means you, too. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan. Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And join the Columbus Blue Jackets for a special presentation from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is Saturday at Nationwide Arena. Each ticket purchase includes an exclusive pregame panel discussion with Hall of Famers Anthony Munoz, Dick Vermeil, and hosted by our guy, Bake. First 150 to purchase the package will receive an exclusive Pro Football Hall of Fame and Columbus Blue Jackets co-branded mini football helmet. Go to bluejackets.com/Hall of Fame for your tickets today. Is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer?
In my heart. Only in my heart.
Yeah, so it's done. Shefty reported this morning. He was the first to have it. The Browns and Joe Flacco agreeing to a one-year, $4 million deal, incentives that can earn him up to $13 million. Reese, your screams of joy were felt all the way in Sunbury.
Yeah, it was the first time in a while I've been legitimately excited about the Cleveland Browns, because this move, while laughable to most, makes only the most sense in the world. It was a couple months ago, people were talking about Cousins or Rodgers or Wentz and Pickett. And I just go, why not just bring back Flacco at this point? Yeah. If you're looking for a quarterback to run Kevin Stefanski's offense, I don't expect Joe Flacco in his return to go to some cheesesteak place and say, I love Kevin Stefanski's offense, only to have them change Kevin Stefanski's offense. If you're going to do what Stefanski wants to do, Flacco showed in 2023 when he was the comeback player of the year for some reason, that he's the quarterback to do it. This is a simple bridge. This is as simple as it gets. And the Browns never do simple. This was simple. And I'm elated that they actually did simple for the first time in ever.
Yeah. Bake, go ahead. You have some thoughts, I know.
Don't let Reese undersell this. I am sitting in the studio that I work in, and Reese comes out of his studio, unbeknownst to me, comes to the door of my studio, and all I hear is, Flacco! I mean, just screaming, and I'm like, okay, did they re-sign him? He's like, yeah, just announced. Then he comes to this studio.
Yeah.
Yells to Bodie Flacco. Then he heads walking towards, like, where you would go towards Fish Office, screaming, yeah! all the time when I think all of Bob's daughter's friends are in here, like 13-year-old girls going, what's going on? This guy's running around screaming.
Look, I get it, because he provided a month and a half of largely pure joy. I mean, he did. It was what Amari Cooper did with him during that stretch. It salvaged a season. This is a very different ask. This is my guess on how it got to this point. I think that the Browns were probably very interested in someone in line of like Daniel Jones. They were probably interested in him as a reclamation project, and they brought in Pickett. I mean, those kind of fit the blueprint that Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski like, which is a guy who's identified as a first-round pick. Didn't work. Let's see if we can find something with them. So Daniel Jones ends up in Indy, and he's out of the race. The other thing to remember in all of this is the price for a quarterback has gone up astronomically. I mean, Justin Fields got 2 years, $40 million, 30 of it guaranteed. So the days of quarterbacks playing at a vet minimum just isn't in the cards. So they have financial restrictions because they're paying Myles Garrett, deservedly so, and Deshaun Watson to not play this year. Watson's not going to play this year. He's torn Achilles again.
That's what you think, hater.
Yeah.
He's going to rehab it back.
Not in a year, he ain't. So that's just the reality of it. You're not going to see Deshaun Watson for the Browns this year, just the second injury in December, so that's done. So this opens up, okay, what do we do now? So they acquire Kenny Pickett and take a swing and a bite at an apple at a former first-round pick. Let's see what happens with him. In the meantime, we have got to buttress this room. Joe Flacco, Kevin Stefanski see football the same way. Joe Flacco's a pro. That's what he is. He's just a pro. Like, the first thing I noticed when Flacco got in the building was, oh, this is what it's like to have a franchise quarterback. He's 38 at the time. But he still had the gravity to him. He still had the respect to him. He still had a way of carrying himself, the way he went about his business, that all of the young players in that building were like, yeah, let's follow that guy. And then he played well. And he sees the game the way Stefanski sees it. So in a situation where you're trying to get back to what Kevin is, which is the wide zone, spin your head, here's a guy open, put it on his numbers, Flacco thrives in that. So that's part of it. This is not obviously he's 40 years old. So this is a bridge. This is a mentor for potentially a drafted quarterback, and even for Kenny Pickett, who's just 26. Joe is a pro's pro. So I think it makes all the sense in the world on that side of things. I do not think that it will preclude them from taking a quarterback relatively high in this draft. I don't think that they're going to take a quarterback at 2. My hunch is and they are the most tight-lipped front office in all of the NFL. Nothing comes out of there. It's an absolute steel trap. But all of the momentum is that Cam Ward is going to go number 1. Now, my hunch is they probably liked Cam Ward and some of the things he did. Maybe they liked him a lot. Maybe he was kind of the apple of the eye. Who knows? But if that was the case, and the momentum now says that Cam Ward goes 1 to Tennessee, then my hunch is at that point at 2, on a team that needs a lot, that needs weapons, that needs a running back, that needs perhaps another tight end, that needs a tackle at some point. I mean, they need so many weapons. To me, it feels like Travis Hunter at number 2 no matter what. Like that feels to me. Travis Hunter has taken 2 visits. 2. Tennessee, Cleveland. That's it. That's the list. So you saw Abdul Carter go to New England yesterday. So some of these other guys have visited a lot of places. Not Travis Hunter. He's visited Tennessee and Cleveland. So he thinks he's either going 1 or 2. Now you can draft a guy and you can pass on a guy, but you can certainly draft a guy you don't visit. But it feels to me like Travis Hunter would be the pick at 2, and I think that's a lot to be excited about if that is the case. He's the best player in the draft. He's the best weapon. He's the best corner and the best receiver. Like, figure it out. He can play. Now you have another great player that you can help build around. I do not think that this would preclude them from maybe trading back into the first round if Shedeur falls, potentially. If Shedeur gets past New Orleans and Pittsburgh's sitting there at 21, do the Browns go to 20 in a trade with Denver? Maybe. That would make sense.
Todd McShay sure seems pretty certain something like that is going to happen.
I saw that. The one thing I would caution everybody on the mock draft season, and Todd gave this whole preamble about how he doesn't put anything in a mock unless he's talked to people. No one's telling the truth in the NFL right now, guys. Nobody.
If they ever
poker.
really.
No, and it's all liar's poker right now. So That could happen. I don't think that the signing of Joe Flacco and the signing of Kenny Pickett would preclude the Browns from, if Shedeur Sanders falls, or maybe they like somebody else. You've seen a lot of Tyler Shuck at 33. You've seen Jackson Dart. Milroe. Milroe would be very different than the type of quarterback that Flacco and Pickett are. I mean, that would be more the Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Tyler Shuck type of quarterback. Shuck and Flacco actually have a lot of similarities in terms of the big arm, the big size, all of those things. So that would potentially check some boxes there at 33 for the Browns. But I don't think this stops them from picking a quarterback at 33 or putting a package together to trade back into the first round to get the quarterback they want.
Aren't Shuck and Kenny Pickett the same age?
They are.
Aren't they both 26 years old?
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about this yesterday. I just can't see anything unless it's, hey, we could grab Travis Hunter and him and get them both. I just don't see why the Browns would pass on Shedeur at 2 and then trade back up to get him. I don't know why. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Just get both, I think, is probably the thing, is do you like them both? Get both. Like, I just think on a roster that needs so much, and it does. I mean, it needs a ton of weapons, that it's just hard for me to imagine him passing on Hunter, because I just think he's the surest thing that there is in this draft. I mean, one way or another. I mean, what's the floor for him? Is it like Percy Harvin? Is that the floor? I mean, I just see no scenario where he's not either an incredible weapon. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? He's the second best corner on the team behind Denzel Ward? Is that the worst case scenario?
I mean,
he could do that in his sleep.
I think worst case scenario is Devin Hester, right? But he's probably
he's
better
a Hall
than
of Famer.
that.
Right. Yeah, I was just about to say.
And he's a better receiver, and he's a better corner. Like, he's the best corner in this draft. You're right. Devin Hester's actually the athletic comp, because Hester played both sides at Miami, not to the way that Travis did, but he did. But he was not really good enough as a receiver or as a corner, and so they just kind of drafted him as a receiver/weapon. Well, Travis Hunter is the best corner in this draft and the best receiver in this draft and the best weapon. So, like, I think worst case scenario, he's an all-pro, Pro Bowl corner. That's the worst. So, like, okay, that's good. Let's do that. So I think you ought to be happy about this, but I also think that now that quarterback room starts to look pretty clear, that it'll be Flacco, it'll be Pickett, and it'll be a rookie. Now, is that rookie at 33? Is it traded back into the first round? Do you say, heck, man, we need weapons. Let's go Travis Hunter at 2. Let's go Emeka Buka, Travion Henderson type at 33. And then we'll take Will Howard, Kyle McCord at 67 and roll that way. Or Milroe at 67 and do it that way. Those are the things that they have the ability to do. Go ahead, Rick.
Just see what that signing does, though.
Yeah.
Like what it allows this organization to do now, because they've got someone actually legitimate in that room. And Kenny Pickett's fine, but you've given yourself so much freedom at $4 million.
Yeah. 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 So it's now sign Nick Chubb. Do that too, because he's still a free agent. You can get him for probably nothing, and he's beloved. He's not what he once was, but he certainly could be a short yardage goal line guy. And so that probably makes for a pretty nice little Friday for a Browns fan. Going to be a nice little Saturday at Ohio Stadium. Buckeye spring game on tap. I asked Ryan Day what he wants to see in the spring game. Where will his eyes go first? Also, some very interesting answers on what he saw in the recruiting process with the 3 quarterbacks. We'll get to that in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code BUY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code BUY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BUY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Look, there's feelings, and then there's the facts. If you're feeling like your finance team is bogged down in mundane manual tasks, the fact is, you need Ramp. Ramp is the corporate card that makes the expense process fast and easy. The moment your team makes a purchase, Ramp handles everything. Receipt collection and approvals, the works. With Ramp, you can cut your month-end close from 5 days to 1, customize approval workflows, and get complete control over every transaction. Facts. Over 25,000 businesses trust Ramp, including Shopify and the Boys and Girls Club of America, which is why they were just named #1 in spend management by G2. Facts. Start using Ramp and you'll have more time to spend scaling your business. And that'll feel really good. Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Football Friday edition of the program. Spring game set for tomorrow. We all know kind of where our eyes are going to go first, right? We're going to look at those quarterbacks. It's the most important position in sports. It's got all the glamour in the world. But I was curious yesterday when we had Ryan Day on the show, where will his eyes go first? Have a listen.
For me, it's the quarterbacks. That's important. And the second is the defensive line. Those are the two areas that, we've got to, make progress in. Overall, you want to just see guys flying around, making plays, clean football. You want to see their reaction. You want to see how guys handle the environment when you've seen a certain level of play in practice, and then you get out into the stadium with the bright lights and you see something different. It's noteworthy, good or bad. You see some guys rise to the occasion, and they like being in that environment. You see others maybe have to learn how to handle that type of environment because now things are different. You're on TV, the Big Ten network's there. There's fans in it, stands, all those types of things. So you kind of just want to see that. But overall, looking forward to see how some of these young guys play, respond. But certainly, I want to see how these quarterbacks do.
Because he's samesies, quarterback D line. I mean, that's kind of what we're all looking at. What do these 3 quarterbacks look like under the lights? What do they look like with a big crowd? What do they look like when knowing that one of them can be the guy? That's heavy stuff, man. So that's kind of the natural thing that we all ought to be looking at, and we will be. And the head coach is no different than the rest of us. Go ahead, Reese.
I wonder how early, or if at all, does Ryan go over to Matt and say, dial it, put real pressure on these guys
right away?
Yeah.
I think he needs all the data points he can get on them. I think I take him at his word that they're neck and neck. And he said that Monday, and I think that they probably are. So, yeah, I think he wants to see. That's the thing. I mean, this one's a little different than other ones because, you probably have to go back to Joe and Dwayne to find one similar. And Joe just had so much ground to make up because Dwayne was so good in the Michigan game, and Urban saw it. He saw it with his own eyes. Like, he saw him in the hottest oil you could possibly put to flame, and he survived and thrived. And so I think that was always in Urban's head, was like, man, I really like Joe, but this guy went in the Michigan game and stood up and stood out. And that was always going to be tough for Joe to overcome. It ended up working out for everybody. We've talked about it a million times, but I think this situation isn't like that. There is no real data point for either one. Here's what we know. In the Cotton Bowl, Lincoln Kienholz thrown into the fire with what appeared to be a very lack of being prepared to be thrown into the fire, and it didn't go well. But that was a long time ago. And the other thing that we know is that last year, Julian Sand was the number 3 quarterback. That's what we know. So Lincoln has made up ground this spring through the offseason. It's been many months since those guys got actual reps in games. So he's made up some ground here, and now you have a head-to-head competition. I think they need all the data points they can get back.
I know I'm crazy, and I know this isn't going to happen, but I go back to the comments we played from Brian Hartline earlier this week.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd do it for the whole game, but I'd make these guys live for a little bit. You want to make it as much like a real game as possible in front of the crowd, and I understand. A worst-case scenario happens and one of them gets hurt. You're up that creek without a paddle. But I would make them live at least for maybe the first quarter of this spring game and let them see those real live bullets.
Well, I think you can do that without I think you just go thud on the quarterbacks even. Wrap them. You don't want them taken to the ground. I mean, you don't need that. So just wrap them. I think you could do thud, and you could go that way. Guys can hit them. Guys can get hands on them. They just can't take them to the ground. I think that I don't want anyone knees involved with anything. I don't need knees and ankles and that type of stuff. I don't need anybody hitting somebody near an elbow or a shoulder or anything like that. But you can wrap them, and you could do a little thud, and I think there is value in that.
Yeah, he said on Monday that they're going to be doing thud for the first part.
Yeah, and then let that be on the QBs too.
Yeah, because I was, trying to watch my words, earlier in this segment because I don't think at any point Ryan's going to go to Matt Patricia and say, sick him. Like, you don't want to do that, but you want to just make sure that they're feeling the pressure every single snap that they take because you need them to have that before the opponent that's going to be, banged into the ground that Ohio State opens against Texas. So every single snap you get with these guys in a stadium situation is going to be so important. And Baker, I do agree with you that it's got to be as live as possible.
Yeah.
And I do think that, and I trust that there's an understanding defensively. We're not trying to crush these guys. Like, you're going to try to get Arch Manning, but not get any of these guys Saturday.
I think it will be. I think you'll see that. I think you'll see people around them a lot.
Because you want your defensive front to compete as much as possible, too. You want your linebackers to compete as much as possible, too, because they talked in that cut that we just aired, the quarterbacks and the defensive line. Like, you're going to be portaling for both positions next week because you need more depth.
Yeah, you do. That's absolutely a part of it. Another interesting answer Ryan gave yesterday when he joined us on the program was I asked him in the recruiting process what he identified in these three quarterbacks that made him say, yeah, I'd like those guys to be Buckeyes. Let's start with his answer on Lincoln Kienholz and what made him identify an all-sports superstar from South Dakota as a potential Buckeye starting quarterback.
Love all three of these guys. They're, first off, great young men, very talented, and just haven't played a whole lot of college football yet. But, I'll start with the oldest, with Lincoln. This is a guy who came in and went to the rivalry game at home late during the recruiting process. He was committed to Washington, had been recruited by other folks, but came in and saw what it was like to play a game in the Horseshoe, and he was all in. And that combined with the fact that he was a multiple sport athlete, he was a Gatorade athlete of the year in the United States. He can windmill dunk. He was a Major League Baseball product. He's become almost like a scratch golfer. Like, he's got multiple. I mean, he's amazing. Jeez. So, if you're playing a game, you want him on your team.
It's so interesting, and I'm certainly not doing the comparison from the standpoint of personality or anything like that, but just listening to Ryan talk about Lincoln and knowing, growing up in a state that is similar to the one he grew up in, how hard it is to be seen at those. It's easier now than it used to be, certainly, but still, how hard it is to be seen at this level in a state like that. And when he's talking about Lincoln, it reminded me of Leaf. That's how Ryan Leaf was in high school. Like, he was the best basketball player. He was the best football player. He's the best baseball player. Great golfer. Like, there was nothing he couldn't do. Like, he just was, and in those days it was tough. I mean, he ended up at Washington State and third in the Heisman and all that stuff, and everybody knows what happened as a pro. But like, in those type of rural states, to be that great and to just, because he would be so head and shoulders above everybody in his state at the things he competes at. You think about in our state, and I see it in youth sports all the time, like, oh, yeah, you're a really good basketball player, but you can't play football. Or you're a really good basketball player, but you can't play baseball or lacrosse. Lincoln was the best at all of it. So it wasn't an iron sharpen iron. He was sharpening his own iron the whole time.
Good job out of you earlier this week, too, Bo, by saying that Lincoln could clobber a golf ball off the tee.
I knew it. You knew it. You knew it. I bet he hits a 320. Yeah, I mean, that's how Leaf was.
Dead center.
Leaf was the same way. Leaf was just, whatever he did, he was good at. Just really good. Real quick, let's hear from Ryan on Julian saying.
what a unique situation. We were recruiting him coming out of high school, and he had the opportunity to go to Alabama. And then when that all went upside down, had some great meetings with he and his mom and his sister, and just talked about what this was going to be, coming into a room with 4 other guys. But he wanted that. He wanted to be in a room with a lot of competition. I mean, he's got a lot of confidence in himself. He's got a quick release. His brain, moves quickly. Has a lot of innate talent in terms of just placing the ball. And again, you've seen the release. You've seen how quick it gets out. So there's a lot of high-end talent there.
It's just a shame that there's not, because I think both of them are more than capable. It's just a shame that there's not a year or two separation between the two. It's too bad that Lincoln isn't in his, going into his, if he's a redshirt sophomore and he's played 3 years. And it just, because unfortunately, it's hard to see a scenario where they'll both be here. Now, I think they both could be here all next year, but it's hard to imagine them both being here beyond that. Like, just one of them's going to have to go to play.
Just a question that you can ponder, not only maybe for the next year, but how many places in the Big Ten would Lincoln be the unquestioned starter? I'll go
every place other than Nebraska, Penn State, probably everywhere else, right? I could be missing somebody.
Maybe Oregon. Maybe.
I don't know. I think he's probably better than Dante Moore. I don't know about, Washington, he'd start. USC, he'd be the starter. UCLA. Yeah. I think Drew Aller and Dylan Raiola.
Michigan and Underwood. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
Lincoln's further along, though.
Yeah, he's more ready to go for sure. Maybe Michigan State, just because there's a connective tissue with that kid who Smith brought from Oregon State.
Chili's.
It's short. It's short list. Yeah, it's a short list. Yeah, whichever one transfers out like after the season, there will be a healthy dose of suitors waiting. All right, we will get back to the Buckeyes side of things as the program goes along, as we continue to get you set for the spring game. We had day one of the Masters. We had the Jackets keeping hope alive, at least for one more day. We will get to all of that coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. I just freaked the hell out of someone. The Fan.
As men get older, our bodies change. We all know that, and often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s, if you're experiencing some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find that your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make the change for good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. That's tristatemenshealth.com. We have 6 offices in the tri-state area to serve you. Tri-State Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, as Care grew over the years, you had many opportunities to sell Care to one of the big conglomerates that are buying companies all over Central Ohio. So tell our customers why you decided to keep Care in the family.
After talking about Care's values for over 30 years, I couldn't bear the thought of Care becoming the kind of company I was warning our customers about. I know the two of you will continue to treat our customers as I would, with honesty and integrity.
We will, Dad. In 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Hey, it's Anthony for my friends at Germain Honda of Dublin. And Rich and his team are ready to get you in a great new Honda this spring. Purchase or lease. He's going to make you feel awesome about your next vehicle and your experience. Grab a hold of this one, a 2025 Honda Accord Hybrid Sport. Lease it for only $347 a month for 36 months, 30,000 miles, and only $19.99 down. He's got rates as low as 2.9%. Germain Honda of Dublin on Sawmill Road, just south of 270.
Ryan Day's Buckeyes are back on the practice field as they get ready for whatever the hell they're calling the spring game. And we're your home for all the on and off field gossip. Your Buckeye flagship station, The Fan. The Fan.
Evan Cohen here. When the draft clock is ticking, you've got to pick the best talent, regardless of position, to fit your team's needs. Well, if you're hiring for your business, you want to find the best talent for any of your roles. That's why you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful technology hustles to find qualified candidates for your job immediately. And if you see a standout candidate, ZipRecruiter lets you personally invite them to apply. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/USL. That's ZipRecruiter.com/USL.
With Progressive Customer Service, there are lots of ways to connect with us, so you never have to miss a second of your favorite sport. Because you'd much rather watch a ball go through a net 124 times in 48 minutes when you don't really have to pay attention until the last two, and then somehow those 2 minutes will take an hour. You don't want to miss all that. Luckily, you can chat with Progressive on our app, online, or over the phone without missing a single one of those times the ball goes through the middle circle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
Day one of the Masters in the books. Day two, they've already are underway at Augusta National. The way that Rory McIlroy's round worked yesterday, it timed up to where I was able to watch his back nine in its entirety. There's an inevitability to him at this place, and it feels like almost in majors now, where this is a guy who is 4 under par, and he's just behind the green on 15 and 2, a par 5. We all know what that's going to look like if he puts too much pepper on it. It goes downhill. It's going in the drink. Everybody knows it. And you're watching him and you're going, oh God, just get out of here with 5, honestly, even though you're there in 2, like that's it. And he chipped it and it's still rolling. And if it weren't for the water that it rolled into, it would still be rolling. It was stupefying to watch, and yet not really surprising, because unfortunately, and he's the best dude. Like all the years that he's been coming to the Memorial, he's always just I know that there's been some talk about some of the comments you made earlier this week in terms of what PGA players are required to do from a media standpoint, and he kind of pushed back on what they should be required to do. But he's always been very gracious with his time when he's been at the Memorial, and somebody that I've just always rooted for. So it just sucked to watch him double on 15 and then back it up with a double on 17. He did the same thing on 17. It's like, what are we doing? So he goes from 4 under to even and out of it in about an hour.
Do you care or make anything of him not meeting with the media after that round?
I don't care.
Okay.
I think he's broken at majors. I don't know if he'll win another one, honestly. I mean, what's it been?
2014, the last major he
11
won.
years.
You're talking 11 years since he's won. He's been trying to complete the Grand Slam, I think, for even longer, though, Bake, right? Like, isn't that even longer? Like maybe 13 years since he's been trying to do that? Now, he's still young. I think he's 35, 36. So he's still plenty young. He's still in his golfing prime to be able to handle it. But that was kind of the headline. Like, all the talent in the world. It's coming on the heels of Jack Nicklaus in immediate availability earlier in the week saying he went through Rory at lunch. They had lunch, and he went through Rory. Every shot Rory's plan was for Augusta, and Jack said, I wouldn't change a thing. And they just didn't execute it. He just didn't. And so he's cooked. I mean, he's not coming back from that. There's no way he's putting a 65 on the card today to be back in the mix. So he won't be the one with the green jacket. The guys who are in the mix are some of the guys you'd expect. Scotty Scheffler with a 4-under opening round, just pretty classic for the two-time champ. Ludwig Oberg with a -4 as well in his first round. Bryson DeChambeau, 3-under in the mix, but your leader is Justin Rose, who is -7, and he is already on the course this morning out there playing. He is now at -8 as he has birdied number 2 at Augusta. So he is 8-under now, your leader at the Masters.
Bo, the conditions there, I was looking at the scores, and I was like, oh, there's not a lot of guys under par yet. It must be pretty windy. And as soon as I did that, I looked up, and they had panned back to the Masters on ESPN. And, yes, It was pretty windy. And I think it's supposed to get windier as the day goes on. So if anybody can stay around even par today, they can probably get themselves back into this.
All of the reporting this morning and all the commentary this morning from the Masters was that if you're going to be playing, play in the morning. And so the guys in the morning have a chance, but that this thing will be diabolical by the time the combination of the breeze and the drying out of the greens will make it pretty diabolical by this afternoon.
Good news for Scotty Scheffler, who goes at 120.
So he's one of he's going to have to survive, but I don't think nothing. Rory could make some hay because he's playing right now. Like, he's playing in the morning. So these guys playing in the morning. And Rose, by the way, who put that 7-under on the board, is already 3 in and a shot under par on the day. So in terms of early tee times, Oberg is at 10 o'clock, so he'll benefit. Scheffler, 1:23. DeChambeau, 10:15. So that's kind of on the edge of it.
Koepka's already on the course.
10 too. Yeah, he did not play well yesterday.
He's -1 for the day, so he's +1 for the tournament.
Let's do real quick on the Blue Jackets side, and then Nick Myers, Ohio State lacrosse coach, going to join us at the top of the hour. I'm just glad they weren't eliminated at home. Like, if they're going to get eliminated, it's going to happen at some point in the next few days. At least it didn't happen at home. So you're down early, you rally, and you're able to win. And so I think there's positive to be had in that. That's kind of where we are with this season. It takes a perfect scenario for them to get in, and my hunch is, knowing kind of the history of the franchise, they will get right to the cusp of it. Like, could I see them still being in the mix this weekend and stringing us along? Yeah, probably. But at the very least, fellas, it did not happen here.
But there's still a game. Each game feels like an eliminator because the Jackets can't afford to drop any of these next, 5? They've got back-to-back with the Capitals, but Montreal's playing Ottawa tonight, and the Senators are looking to hold the Canadiens off that first wild card spot in the East. So 2 teams with something to play for tonight at 7 o'clock. The Blue Jackets obviously showing fight in that third period last night. Make it a every night out. You have got to play your best for 40 to 60 minutes, or else you're out of the playoffs. And I think that's the best you can ask for this group right now. And there's TBD on Ovechkin tomorrow because it's a back-to-back, because the game got moved from 7 to a noon 30 start.
Yeah.
So if they're able to keep it go, and I'm mostly just hoping selfishly because I'm going to the game tomorrow, that it can be they're not dead yet.
Well, if you want that, then you need Ottawa tonight.
Yes.
Because they host the Canadians.
So go Senators.
Canadians get 2, you're cooked. So once that happens, it's cooked.
Bo, I think I predicted last week or early this week that somehow this thing was going to come down to the Blue Jackets' last game, and the skeptical fan in me were going to get our hearts broken on that last game. But to your point with Montreal, they've got Ottawa tonight. They've got Toronto tomorrow, I believe it is, or Sunday. Toronto Sunday.
You want Montreal? I'll give it to you. They're
and then they got Chicago Monday, and then they end with Carolina.
Yeah, so at Ottawa, at Toronto tonight and tomorrow, and then Chicago, Carolina to close it.
And in the same hand, you've got the Rangers. They've got Carolina tomorrow, and they've got Florida coming up as well. So, I mean, there's hope. There's not much, and maybe that hope is more that Jet Greaves is here, and maybe he's going to stay, and maybe you can get some good goalie play down the stretch.
Yeah, there is not a whole lot more. Like the rest of the stuff in the East is kind of locked in. The Caps are the number 1. The Leafs trying to hold off Tampa Bay for the top spot in the Atlantic. They're at 100 points. The Lightning are at 97. So that's that's kind of where you're at on the eastern side of things. So keep hope alive for one more day. Hopefully Ottawa can win, and so you can at least have one tomorrow that's got a little bit of juice to it with that early puck drop at Nationwide. It is a busy Saturday. We spent a lot of time on the spring game. We'll continue to spend a lot of time on the spring game. We mentioned the Blue Jackets as well. 2 o'clock tomorrow, a rather big one at the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium. Your head coach, Nick Myers, is going to join us to preview that coming up next. Tim May at 10:30, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like early pay. Moving up payday so you could get your money faster. Up to 2 days faster. And there's no cost. It's your money, right? So stop playing the waiting game. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Common Man here of Spring Cleaning has you thinking about spring upgrading. This is the month to do it. Freshen your home's look, boost your energy efficiency, and save big during Universal Windows Direct's Spring Home Improvement event. Right now, it's their classic fan favorite offer. You buy 2 windows, you get 2 free, and there's no limit. If you buy 4, you pay for 2. If you need 12, you pay for 6. What are you waiting for? Schedule your free in-home estimate today. Give them a call, 614-502-5220, or visit universalwindowsdirect.com.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and, of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
2 years ago, Bobby Carpenter completed treatments for knee pain at QC Kinetics. So we're checking in with the former college and pro football player to see how he's doing.
I've been asked a lot, like, how long does this last? How long does it work? I go, I've had mine for a couple of years, and everything feels very good. It feels just as good as it did when I started to turn the corner.
Bobby's an active husband, dad, and business owner. That's why 2 years ago, he heard about QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative treatments, and he knew he could trust them for his chronic knee pain.
And thankfully, with QC Kinetics, I was able to go through this, and my activities are the same as it was. I'm able to coach my kids in sports. I can play golf. I can go run.
QC Kinetics patients like Bobby don't miss a beat. No surgery or rehab. Just freedom from debilitating joint pain. Ready for lasting relief from joint pain? Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation and see if you're a good candidate.
Call QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
The sports calendar is heating up, and with ESPN Bet Sportsbook, you can go from checking news to stats to placing bets in a couple of taps. Stream games, bet live, and get exclusive offers when you link your ESPN account. Right now, you can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to really stand out. That's where True Green comes in. They're the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, so they know a thing or two about keeping grass looking like a fairway. It's more affordable than you think, and they'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Head to TrueGreen.com today. Let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Round 2 of the Masters continues at Augusta. Justin Rose continues his hot start. His 7-under was tops on Thursday. He's now at 8-under through 3 on the day. Defending champ Scotty Scheffler shot a 4-under 68 yesterday. He'll begin his second round this afternoon around 1:20. In the NFL, the Browns have signed free agent quarterback Joe Flacco to a 1-year deal worth a reported $4 million. Flacco won Comeback Player of the Year in 2023 when he quarterbacked the Browns to the playoffs. The 40-year-old Flacco spent last season with the Colts. In college football, Ohio State will hold its annual spring game Saturday at noon. You can hear it on The Fan with live pregame coverage tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And in the NHL, the Blue Jackets host the Capitals tomorrow at 12:30. CBJ are 6 points out of a playoff spot. This update sponsored by the Waterworks. Get up to $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system with the Waterworks. Visit them online today at thewaterworks.com. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
After putting up with Dom Tiberi for a decade, the broadcast gods gave Bo these two. This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is, and a very busy Saturday here in the capital city. You got that spring game at noon. We've been talking about it all week. You've got the Blue Jackets with a puck drop in the early afternoon. And then at 2 o'clock, you've got the Buckeye lacrosse team hosting Maryland. That's number 2 in the country. The Buckeyes are against number 6 in the country, the Terps. That's at 2 o'clock, and we had it on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline for a preview. Ohio State lacrosse coach, the great Nick Myers, joining us. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. Bit of a big one tomorrow, my friend. We ready for this?
Well, right on, brother. Appreciate you having me, and it's great. I'm grateful to be on, and
Okay, I couldn't tell if we had a break. Yeah, it looks like we lost Coach a little bit there. See if we can get him right back on. It's the interesting thing about this season for them is they're sitting at 11-1. They lost the opener. They lost to Utah in the opener. They have not lost since. Maryland coming into this one, obviously a traditional power, won a national championship a couple of years ago. They played probably the most ambitious schedule in the country. Big win at Notre Dame, which kind of served notice. That was on March 8th. They won 10-9 at Notre Dame, buttressed that with a win at Denver. And now this big home game with Maryland. I believe we have Coach back. Coach, you were talking about the significance of number 2 versus number 6 at the stadium, my friend, that I always say the stadium that you built.
Yeah, well, listen, sorry about the interference there. I was just starting with being thankful to be on. It's great to be with you. Appreciate all you do. For athletics here at Ohio State, but also, just getting the word out about lacrosse. We're awful excited. The big dream was days like Saturday, like tomorrow, when we put our heads together to build a stadium and to bring Buckeye Nation together. The thought of playing in late April for a Big Ten championship on the line and a sold-out crowd in a lacrosse-only stadium was the big dream. So it's coming to fruition. It feels really good. We're, very thankful for the people that have made this thing happen. And excited about the opportunity that we have here at home in front of our crowd and a great Maryland team.
Buddy, it is sold out. I'm on the Ohio State lacrosse. I'm trying to get tickets, and I'm looking at this.
Yeah,
they're gone.
I got you both. Yeah,
thank you. I appreciate that. But there's none, man. It's all resale.
Yeah.
This is everything that you wanted. It's all coming home to roost.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Big Ten lacrosse started in 2015, and I remember playing Maryland in the spring game that year, and we lost a heartbreaker in overtime in front of a great crowd. And that was year one of the Big Ten. And here we are 10 years later in our own home in a sellout crowd on the spring day. It feels really good. And like I said, a lot of people to thank for that, for their efforts to make it possible. And we got a group of men right now that are incredibly focused and hungry to take this next step towards our first Big Ten championship.
Buckeye lacrosse ranks second in the country, hosting number 6 Maryland tomorrow at 2 o'clock. If you can't get down there to the stadium, don't want to do the resale thing, the game's on BTN. So you're going to go Ohio State spring game football straight into Ohio State against Maryland on BTN. So a lot of way to consume this one. You guys lost the opener to Utah at home. You have not lost since. What do you remember of following that loss and the way that the men on your team took that challenge? I said when we were getting you back on the air that I really took, when you beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame and then you win at Denver, then you go, okay, we need to start paying attention a lot to what's going on there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it was hard, and we talk about everything we want is on the other side of hard. And that saying is one that we've really kind of latched onto with our group. And credit Utah. They came in, they beat us. It's February 1st. We weren't buttoned up in the areas that we needed to be to get the win that day. And I remember meeting with the team in the shooting room right after the game ended and just said, hey, this is not something that's going to get made right overnight. We're not going to fix this with a win Tuesday or Saturday. This is going to be a healing process. But I believe in this team. I know we believe in each other. And we're going to chip away at this thing. And, that's exactly what the men did. And we got a win Tuesday. 3 days later, we got a win Saturday. And we got some momentum going. The win over Virginia at home, I think, was the start of it, where we felt like, okay, we're starting to make this thing right. And then you go into South Bend. You beat the 2-time national champs. You go out to a very tough Denver, and then you start league play. And so I think for us, it's really just been, a back against the wall mentality, really from early February. And I'm really proud of the way the men have just kind of taken each week as a unique challenge. And we still feel like our best lacrosse is out there for us. That's the exciting part. I don't think there's a perfect game out there, but I do think there's a better version of us than we've played so far.
Let's do a little X's and O's for this game against Maryland on Saturday. For you guys to stack another one and keep this win streak going, what are some of the keys?
Yeah, listen, very well-coached team. We've had 2 heartbreakers. You go back 2 years ago, the loss in overtime. Last year, we lose 8-7. But Maryland has been and is the standard in Big Ten lacrosse. So I think everyone's been chasing them for years. It's no different. And I think for us to get this thing done and beat Maryland, you have to be great in the middle of the field. It starts at the face-off X. We've had 2 weeks in a row we've been under 50%. So we got to do a better job of getting that as close to 50-50 as we can. Their defense, number 2 in the country. They got an excellent goalie, so they're not giving up goals. We got to be really efficient down there. We got to do a great job grinding, and we can't get frustrated if it's not going our way early. We got to stay with it. And on the defensive end, listen, man, they got a really good group of guys. It's not one guy you can point to. 7, 10. They picked up a couple of transfers in the offseason that have been really good for them. And again, very efficient group. So, for us, it's going to be details. It's going to be a great week, which we've had thus far. And it's going to be trying to do everything we can in those first 3 quarters to put ourselves in a position at home to come down that 4th quarter and win what will probably be a 1 or 2 goal game based on what I think it looks like.
Every one of these is like that, man. Like, you get into Big Ten play and it's just a fight. It's a fist fight every game, and we expect that tomorrow. All right, buddy.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a lot of fun in the league, Bo. I appreciate all your support, and looking forward to a great day for the Buckeyes start to finish tomorrow.
Absolutely. I'd wish you luck, but I know you don't need it. Going to be a fun one at Ohio Stadium. Thanks for your time, Coach, and good luck.
Thanks, brother. Go Bucks. Take care.
All right, there he goes. Nick Myers, your Ohio State lacrosse coach. Buckeyes ranked 2nd in the country, hosting number 6 Maryland. Sold out. This guy's brings us to standing room sold out, seated tickets sold out. Yeah, you can get resale, fine, but there's nothing available. This does dovetail into a conversation we had earlier this week about the job Ross Bjork has to do of deciding, what are we going to be good at? What are the sports we're going to be good at? What are the ones that mean the most to us? And I think probably one of Gene's great legacies is everything that's across the street from the Woody and everything that's Woody adjacent. The amount of money and attention to detail that they put into all of those places allows for you to have swings at wrestling national championship and have swings at lacrosse national championships and obviously have won a lot of tennis national championships and are in the mix in women's hockey and men's hockey and all of these things. And sometimes we get this cynical point of like, well, if we're not good at men's basketball, then what's the point? And the reality is that the rest of these things provide a great deal of joy as well, which is why it's such a complicated thing to figure out if you're Ross Bjork, if you're Ohio State, what ones do you really want to be good at? Because there's NIL in all of these, and there's only so much to go around, so you kind of have to make those decisions. But it doesn't at all diminish how much you appreciate what's been done there at some of these other sports. They sold out lacrosse-specific stadium 2 days before the game starts. That's a thing, man.
So this would be, let's speak Ohio State men's lacrosse into a national championship. You have Ohio State football winning a national championship. The hockey teams are always competitive. It feels like we're not far removed if sellouts continue to happen that you can make and maybe churn serious revenue and get these guys enough of the pie when revenue sharing becomes green or when it goes green on July 1st. Like, these sports can become viable, but it's a tough ask. The winning's always got to be there. And it feels like so far so good. It's men's tennis, wrestling.
Yeah.
Like Ohio State can do that, and that's a huge testament. It always goes back to the Gene Smith legacy thing. And Ross has got to do, I think, and has done a great job of maintaining that legacy, and I think will continue to maintain that legacy. But, man, when you go down there Saturday to the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium and just do a 360, and then think back 10 years ago where that portion of campus was and what it looked like, it's incredible.
I let down Beamsy. His lacrosse coach is really pushing him to wear a cup, and he finds them to be uncomfortable.
Well, yeah.
Now, NBC's never worn one, and they don't check. There's no cup check. So, he goes, Dad, are you having Coach Myers? I say, yeah, I'm going to have him on. He said, oh, it's so awesome. It's awesome. Can you ask him if the Buckeye lacrosse players wear cups? He wants that as his rebuttal to having to wear one. I said, buddy, you're not going to want to wear one until you need it. That's the thing.
I dipped my toes in lacrosse in 5th and 6th grade. Horrible athlete.
You're an Arlington kid. Of course.
I didn't wear a cup until I took a lacrosse ball. Then I wore a cup.
A lacrosse ball is basically, for the uninitiated, it's basically like a heavy Super Ball. The Super Ball you play with as a kid that bounces off everything? That's basically a lacrosse ball. Go ahead, babe.
It's the greatest insurance in the world. You hope you never need it, but just in case.
At that point, they hadn't dropped, but boy, I thought they were going to fall right out.
Yes. Yes, I thought
that delayed the dropping for a couple weeks, probably.
Years, brother.
Stayed in for a while. From the fun and cool side of college athletics to the what is happening at Tennessee with their quarterback? Oh, yeah. We'll get the details on that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're the highest rated sports radio station in America. There's no joke there. We just are. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
Legend has it, underneath the NJM insurance offices lies a mysterious room of long-forgotten, moldy mascot memorabilia. Often pitched by ad agencies, always rejected by NJM. Is it real? We may never know. But what is real is NJM's dedication to doing what's right for their customers. Astoundingly, they're proud to put policyholders first. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Learn more at njm.com.
Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
The Fan has been ranked as the second best sports station in America by our industry peers. A heartfelt thank you is in order. But we're not doing it because we're better than that hillbilly Birmingham station that came in first. Thanks for nothing.
Are you in need of basic dental treatment but can't afford the cost? There may be a solution. Hi, I'm Dr. Hal Jeter, president of the Ohio Dental Association, and I'm excited to tell you about a program called Dental Options. Dental Options is a partnership between the Ohio Dental Association and the Ohio Department of Health, in which qualifying patients can be paired with a dentist to receive discounted or even free dental care. Eligibility for the program is based on your financial situation. For more information or to apply, call 1-888-765-6789.
Help DEA keep our community safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 26th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking at cloudy skies this afternoon and cool temperatures, high near 50. We'll clear skies tonight as we drop to the freezing range again by early Saturday. Saturday itself, highs in the mid-50s, more sunshine, 60s on Sunday with a few more clouds. As we get into Monday, those temperatures will be back in the 70s, but storms return by the afternoon and evening. That's your latest 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Pull up a stool and ask the bartender for something neat, because Uncle Bo is on the radio. This is Bishop and Friends.
And join the Fan on campus Saturday for the Crown Automotive Group in Dublin Fan Tailgate Show. We're going live from Fan Fest just outside St. John Arena. AR, Timbe, Dave Biddle breaking it all down before kickoff, and then you can catch the action Saturday from 10 to 11:45 on that. It's presented by Crown Automotive Group in Dublin, your go-to for sales and service of Mercedes-Benz, Ineos, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. Go Bucks on that. This is one of those things that I think we talk about all the time behind the scenes, but we've never seen it made publicly out loud. Never. And Pete Nakos of On3 reported it yesterday. The report just read that Tennessee and quarterback Nico Amalieva are undergoing, quote, active contract negotiations ahead of the 2025 season. This may or may not impact whether he enters the spring transfer portal. Patrick Brown of 24/7 Sports noted that the Volunteers lost 14 scholarship players, so the winter portal was open. Amalieva, 64%, 26-16, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks, another 400 on the ground. He was tough as nails here while being bludgeoned. I mean, he got bludgeoned, and he stood in there and took it. I assume that this happens everywhere in the country in terms of players negotiating with their coaches about what are you going to compensate me for next year. This is the first time I can recall it happening, being played out publicly.
Well, this is like that first step that you talked about where you get a team in the college football playoff semifinals or even in the championship game, and a player says, I'm going to renegotiate or I'm not playing in that. Like, this is the biggest name to do something like this outwardly that we've seen. And again, a step in, I would think most people would say, the wrong direction for college sports, but understandable as we are continuing to move towards the NFL model that, remember, Bill Belichick's bringing into college football, where a player performs really well, and then the next season says, well, my number just went up.
Yep.
Because to your point, where he got bludgeoned in that college football playoff first-round game, he's probably looking around saying, I need a little bit more help here. And then 14 scholarship players go into the transfer portal in the winter, or went shortly after that Ohio State-Tennessee game, and he might be looking around at his roster going, I don't know if I've got the help, so let me get more.
It's just wild to see it reported.
Like, that means his people put it out there.
No doubt. No doubt they did. Yeah, as pressure. Now, I don't know what would potential landing spots for him be? Like, if you're Tennessee, do you call his bluff? And you say, fine, good luck. I don't know what the landing spots would be. I mean, the one thing we know for sure is that the spring portal, we didn't have this exactly right, but the spring portal is not nearly as active as the winter portal. That, especially at quarterback, if you're going to go somewhere, you really need to go there in December so that you have the full off season. But I think him playing this out publicly is pretty wild.
It's interesting, Bo. You say, I don't know where he would go, but we could play the same game with Nico that we just did with Lincoln Keenholz or Julian Sayin.
Yeah.
What school in the Big Ten would he not start for right now? Would he not step
Alabama?
On campus?
But I don't think it's a matter of he's not happy at Tennessee. I think it's a matter of I need more money to continue to be happy at Tennessee. So it's one thing to find a landing spot. It's another thing to find somebody willing to meet the price. And I don't think anyone's ever accused Tennessee of being cheap. So that's the part there's a lot of places that would take you, but how many places would take you having not had you for spring football and then would also pay the price?
That's
where it's tricky.
I think of somewhere, and I don't know if they have the NIL money or not, but I think of Luke up at Wisconsin. I think he'd love to throw the money at this kid and have him come in and be the starting quarterback.
Who do they have up there? Don't they have somebody up there? Didn't they get somebody in the portal this year? I thought he did. But it's tough. And so we just have never seen this play out publicly like this. And this comes to the next thing that we want to get to, which is, and by the way, Paul told us this was coming, right? When we talked about this House settlement and all of this. And he talked about the fact that the presidency, Congress, Senate, the House and the Senate, they're all red at the moment. And there is thinking among conference commissioners that there's an opportunity here to get something done with this group of people. And so when you want to get something done with that group of people, what do? You go on Fox News. And so they did. All of them. I mean, this is pretty wild. This was special report last night, Brett Baer on Fox News. Greg Sankey of the SEC, Jim Phillips of the ACC, Tony Petitti of the Big Ten, and Brett Yormark of the Big 12 went on the show and said, hey, come save us. That's essentially what was said, and asking for Congress to do so. Let's start with Tony Petitti. He's our guy. Here were some of his comments from Fox News last night.
The volume of laws that are being passed on a state level are just making it really difficult for us to regulate and compete nationally. Like every single time someone doesn't like a ruling or something coming from the NCAA, we end up in litigation. Those rules then get abrogated, and we're back to the start. So we're hopeful that the combination of what we've done in the settlement and the case that we're settling now will give us an opportunity with some help from Congress to really put a system in place that has stability.
Jeez. Good luck with that, Tony. I think you've done a great job since you've been on the job, but good luck with that. Here's Brett Yormark with what he hopes Congress will do with NIL.
So many of the members of Congress have had incredible experiences at the colleges they attended, and they understand that athletics sits at the front porch of those institutions, and it drives everything in the ecosystem. So I think I speak on behalf of my colleagues. We're very optimistic we can move forward in a sustainable way, but again, we need help from Congress.
Yeah, yuck it up.
Good luck.
I mean, it's evil villain laugh. Really? Really? How many times have we seen a coach, a player, a commissioner, an NCAA boss sitting in front of a congressional hearing in the last 5 years? Is it
every other month? It feels like
if they're in session,
half a dozen.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's constant. It's constant, and nothing ever gets done. It doesn't, and they want to get out of jail free card. That's it. They want to get out of jail free card, and quite honestly, short of doing what it is and calling it professional sports and compensating and handling all of those things, short of that, they need a Hail Mary. And they need a get out of jail free card from the federal government to say this is how college athletics are going to be. The problem with that is the same problem that they run into currently is, and it's funny, you can just explain this pretty simply. If you are going to continue to die on the sword that they are student athletes first, students first, then athletes, if you're going to continue to do that, then they have to have the exact same rights and rules of every other student on campus. And there's nothing stopping another kid on campus from making money while he's in school. I worked in school. Part of it. Did it. That's the deal, man. So every time they get in front of a court of law, they get spanked around because it never goes anywhere. Because they have to be held to the same standard as other students. So until you change the way that you define them, I'm dubious to think that anything's going to come of any of this.
I just love the idea that, well, congressmen and women had great times in college, so they appreciate athletics, and they will help us because of that.
Wasn't that a great line? By the way, anyone who's at Ohio State last year as a student, did you have a good time? Right?
Of course. Of course they did.
It's great. So what needs to change?
Did it bug you that Jeremiah Smith made $4.5 million? Or whatever he made? How did that affect you? None.
It might have made your experience better.
What do you care? It's not your money. Like,
you guys,
these clowns.
You guys know how much I love this with government and sports, and now the NCAA is asking the government to help. Go clean up your own mess. Be an adult and clean up your own mess. I mean,
yeah.
God, this drives me insane.
It does, yeah. This is an actual exchange that Reese had with Tim May. I believe, is this you, Reese? You had this exchange with Tim May?
So I just reach out to him every Thursday, just make sure he's good to go. And he gives me a heck yeah, I'll be at the stadium. And I'm like, well, on Friday, what are you going to be there for? And he says, part of the cleaning crew. We can watch the clinic practice session. And it's the same thing he does with volunteering for the U.S. Open, so we can just watch free golf.
Only Tim May.
Only Tim May. He joins us in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Feeling unsure about preparing your roof for spring storms? Newman Roofing is here for you. For over 30 years, we've helped homeowners understand their roof's condition so they can make the best decision for their home. Stop worrying and call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit NewmanRoofing.com today. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
This is big. Rent-A-Center's biggest discount is on. From April 6th to April 12th, take 50% off the total cost to own on all items in-store or online, only at Rent-A-Center. 50% off offer reduces the total amount necessary to acquire ownership pursuant to rental purchase agreement. Offer valid on new agreements entered into April 6, 2025 through April 12, 2025. Participating locations only.
There's a new way to surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and Market District. Shop Giant Eagle's uncompromising quality at a reliable price with everyday savings. Look for signs throughout the store to find bargains on produce, meat, and more. Visit Giant Eagle to see how easy it is to save.
You know that project you've been working on? Just chipping away at it, dreaming of the day you get to show it off? Then, when you're least expecting it, cancer. And finishing that project actually happens. I would know. I've been restoring this car for years, and today I'm giving it to my granddaughter. It's her 16th birthday and 2 years since my cancer diagnosis.
Mom, you finished it?
Happy birthday, boo-boo. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keepmakingplans to learn more.
Join your Reds as we honor the Hit King on Wednesday, May 14th for Pete Rose Night. All fans in attendance will receive a Pete Rose replica jersey of the road uniform worn by Pete when the Big Red Machine celebrated back-to-back World Series championships. No one was prouder to wear Cincinnati across their chest than Pete Rose. Be a part of this special night honoring the legendary Charlie Hustle. Get your tickets now at reds.com/Pete.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Our top men are working on everything except this show.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Well, it's Friday at 10:30. Friday at 10:30, we'd like to talk to our great friend Tim May. He'll be on the pregame tomorrow at the spring game. Are you at the stadium now, right now?
Yes, I actually just got walked and got in my car so I could have a civil conversation with you because the wind was blowing. It's about 30 degrees. It feels like wind chill of about 4. I am at the stadium. We got to watch because it's a part of the clinic. We got to watch the clinic practice. So,
well, that's a win. Is this the
definite win?
Is this the worst spring since you've been in Ohio?
Worst? Oh, hell no! I was
really. There's been worse.
The fact my daughter was born 30 years ago in April, and for example, and the day she was born, I think it snowed like 1.5 feet. Because that's when you get these ideal conditions for snow, or like in December and April, when the season hasn't quite turned from fall to winter and from winter to spring. So, there have been a few bad springs. There have been some wet ones and whatever. I know there was one spring where I didn't get to play golf until like May or something because it was so wet. I think you were around then. But yeah, I mean, every spring is different now, because you can't really count on anything from a climatological standpoint.
Hey, you're a big golf guy. You go to the U.S. Open every year, and we always check with you on a Friday at the U.S. Open. Last year was at Pinehurst.
By the way, I'm going to be in a much better position than I was last year from the standpoint of having a phone connection. I was thinking about that the other day. I kept walking all over Pinehurst trying to see where I could get even 3 bars, much less 5.
Well, now you'll be at Oakmont, so that'll be easy. Do you think Rory McIlroy will ever win another major?
I don't know. Hey, what has he done this morning? Because I've been watching football for 2 hours.
I just watched him hit. From around a tree. So I'm guessing it's not going particularly well. He's even, but he's on. Boy, it's another par 5. He's hitting from behind a tree. So gave up 4 shots in 15 and 17 yesterday.
I know. I did, dude. Up until then, matter of fact, even his first 2 shots, whatever it was on the par 5, till he hit it over the green on 15, ball went in the water. Which, by the way, I don't know if you've ever been to the Masters. That 15 to me is the most ridiculous hole because you should get there. You do get there in 2, but then the green. It shouldn't be legal that you hit a ball on the green and it roll off and roll all the way through the second cut or the first cut and right into the water. But he fell victim to that. But, 2 double bogeys coming in, that always kills you. But he was playing great until that moment. So
he was.
Yeah, I just think the fates are against him for want of another term.
Let's do a little quarterback chatter. If I'm
not making any sense, it's because I'm cold. Go ahead now.
No, you're making perfect sense. You had let's do a little quarterback chatter. You had a student practice last week where, by all accounts, Lincoln Kienholz had the better of the performances. Coming into spring, we just have what we had a year ago, which was that Julian Sain was ahead of Lincoln in terms of the depth chart through all of last season, and then if they start all over, fine. But you have the intellectual knowledge that a year ago Julian was ahead. As we come into this spring game, how big will be how their performance is tomorrow? What type of a check box does that check for the overall race to win this job?
Every shot you get matters. Just like today, I'm thinking the scrimmaging we've gotten to see, I think Lincoln is still ahead. I mean, I would rate him having a better workout today than Julian from what we saw. And I think they just got done. I just left with like a period left in it. But Lincoln had a great pass like Mylan Graham in the right corner of the end zone a while ago. It was probably the highlight of the scrimmaging stuff we got to see today. And by scrimmaging, I mean, they're doing thud and all that kind of stuff, but thud tackling. But everything matters, Bo. But, this time, what was in 2019, Justin Fields had a horrible, horrible, maybe they're stretching it, but a bad spring game, and he ended up being a starting quarterback. I think this time last year, you might have argued Devin Brown was ahead of, was ahead of Will Howard in terms of just getting things done and stuff. But we all know how that played out. It all matters. But if Lincoln Keenos was going to make a move, it was going to be this spring. And in my opinion, at the least, he's hung in there and is competing for the starting job. And I think if they started the game tomorrow, based on what we've gotten to see over two pretty good extended periods here the last 2 weeks, I think he's ahead. But there's still a lot to be done. 29 practices in the preseason will decide that. But as you all know, and we've talked about it on your show many times, they open with Texas. Not Texas State.
Yeah.
And or Texas Southern. They open with Texas, and going to have that hard decision you're going to have to make. Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, Billy Fessler on who your number one quarterback is. I think fairly early in preseason camp, and so I'm hemming and hawing. I'm not really hemming and hawing. I'm just telling you what I've seen. Lincoln has had, from what I've seen, the better outings so far, but there's so much more to go. He's been here an extra year compared to Julian Sayin also. So, just based on today, I think Lincoln took the first snaps when we were watching. I was standing there with my good friend Tony Gerdeman and Tom Orr, and we were remarking about what we were seeing and not seeing. And what we're seeing is Lincoln Keenos having a pretty damn good spring.
Yeah, he has.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah, Rory did birdie too, so that's there you go. There's your Masters update.
Dude, you got to remember these guys are pros. They can hit it from behind trees.
They can, yeah, and he did. I had Ryan on yesterday.
I should be really good at that too, but I'm not.
A lot of practice, right? Yeah. I had Ryan on yesterday, and I asked him. I was asking him about Lincoln, and I was asking him about Julian, and then he answered about Tavian too, because the thing that is I find so fascinating about this particular quarterback derby is these guys could not possibly have come from more different circumstances in terms of their upbringing. I mean, there's not much common thread with any of them other than that they're all elite at throwing the football. But in terms of where they came from or how they were curated to this, so I'm always curious in the process of what, when you look for traits, and you can recruit anybody in the country, what traits are the guys with these guys that led you to say, yeah, that's a guy I want? And Lincoln's story, I don't mean it from a personality standpoint. It reminds me a lot of Ryan Leaf's. In Montana, who is a buddy of mine I knew well, and who was a guy who was elite at everything he did in a rural state. And Lincoln Keenholz, it was one of those things, and Ryan was one of those guys, if you just from a college perspective, he finished third in the Heisman, led Washington State to a Rose Bowl, but the idea was it wasn't too fast for him when he got there, but he had a lot of catching up to do. And I think that's kind of what's happened with Lincoln, too. This is an elite athlete who just happened to be raised in South Dakota, and there probably weren't many people he ever competed against athletically who were his peer, not even in the same vicinity.
Right. And not only that, but he's been through the Mickey Marotti laundromat, as I like to call it, and he's gotten bigger, faster, stronger, but definitely bigger and stronger. That's what's different about him from 2.5 years ago when he first showed up. So, I mean, if you watch the ball jumps out of his hand pretty nice, man. Today was a cold day, a blustery day in the stadium, and, he's throwing the ball extremely well. So, Sayin has the same thing. Sayin, if anything, today was a little bit cold. He had a couple of fumbles where he had to run laps, but just off of execution on some run plays. But yes, I mean, don't discount somebody from where they're from. I mean, Belle Fountain, Ohio, and Pierre, South Dakota, really, except for one being 45 miles away from Ohio Stadium, the other being, 2,500 or whatever.
It's a long ways. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, Tavian St. Clair grew up being the big man on campus in all kinds of ways, right? And but as we were talking about as we were watching this, he wasn't exactly blessed with necessarily the world's greatest supporting cast, but he still has the wherewithal for a major college team, led by Ryan Data, to make him their quarterback in 2025, meaning, they're the guy they went after. Same thing with Lincoln Kinos. They always knew Lincoln was going to be a project when they recruited him.
Of course, yeah.
Just because of everything you just threw out there. But he has stepped up. I mean, the guy, and he has leadership qualities about him, too. He's kind of a cool, calm, collected kind of dude, which is what you're really looking for in your quarterback. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see that get pulled off. But, I mean, it's still early in this race. I mean, it really is.
One thing that I think's been really cool, though, Tim, is how, and when I said this to Ryan yesterday, I said, I've never heard you mention the first opponent by name before, but that changes when it's Texas. And he's changed a lot. I mean, a lot has changed. I mean, he had to do spring differently this year because of the national championship game being played so late. And they're well aware that, be ready at the end of August. It's different than waiting into a season as they have in previous years. And I think him acknowledging that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he made a point with us the other day in the press conference that, they were trying to be really careful, almost over planning how they were going to handle coming out of a 16-game season ending on January the 20th. That's literally 3 weeks later for the most part than you ended the year before, how they were going to ease into spring, make it start a week and a half, 2 weeks later. And then they found out, we got a lot of guys who haven't played a whole lot. We need to pick up the pace. And that's kind of what they did in the middle of spring. And if anything, they got more physical. They got more after practicing really practicing football instead of, I'm not going to say they're ever going through the motions, but he made that's just something you realize, and he admits it. The great thing about Ryan is he'll tell you what he's thinking, and he admitted the fact, they needed to pick up the pace because a lot of reasons, and one of which is you only get so many practices to get guys any kind of experience you can get them, and the closer you can get it to being game speed, game requirement kind of work, the better off you are down the road. And because, they have the specter staring them in the face again to repeat. They got to play a minimum 16 games. But the first game right out of the bag is the same team they beat in the semifinals in what was a hell of a game, by the way. That was a hell of a game until the Jack Sawyer scoop and score, or whatever you want to call it. And they know what's up.
All right, buddy. Well, we look forward to listening to you on the pregame tomorrow with AR and Bids, and thank you for your time as always.
I hope it's a little bit warmer tomorrow too, man. I can't believe in April I've got foot warmers, but anyway, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well,
I didn't grow up in Montana, although I'd like to have seen Montana.
One day you're gonna, and I'm gonna design that trip for you. It's gonna be a win. We hit Thing or Not a Thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We used to have a billboard with our host's face on it, but only ugly people work here now.
You mama say you ugly, hey!
The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
It's Kubota Orange Days. From America's #1 selling compact tractor to zero-turn mowers and versatile RTVs, get your perfect match delivered to your door. Now through June 30th, get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $2,000 off BX 2380 tractors. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
Stop by CEC Turf and Tractor in Athens, Canal, Winchester, Lancaster, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota tractors and mowers, or check them out online at CECTurfandTractor.com.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, I think I saw a fox on my way in.
Oh, that was the Carfax Carfox. He was congratulating us on our Carfax Top-Rated Service Center Award.
I have always rated Tire Discounters at the very top.
Oh, thanks. So does Carfax. And not just for tires, but for all our services, too.
Alignment, brakes, shocks and struts, and more.
Yes, sir.
But, Mike, do you think people believe Carfax over me?
Well, you are the Phantom tire buyer.
Exactly.
Look, there's feelings, and then there's the facts. If you're feeling like your finance team is bogged down in mundane manual tasks, the fact is you need Ramp. Ramp is the corporate card that makes the expense process fast and easy. The moment your team makes a purchase, Ramp handles everything. Receipt collection and approvals, the works. With Ramp, you can cut your month-end close from 5 days to 1, customize approval workflows, and get complete control over every transaction. Facts. Over 25,000 businesses trust Ramp, including Shopify and the Boys and Girls Club of America, which is why they were just named #1 in spend management by G2. Facts. Start using Ramp and you'll have more time to spend scaling your business. And that'll feel really good. Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Is it a game, a practice? Who cares? Join us for live coverage of the Ohio State Football Spring Showcase.
Coverage starts Saturday at 10. Sponsored by Crown Automotive Group in Dublin.
Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
We're catching up with that famous deep-sea explorer, Jacques Black Jacques. Jacques, where are you today? You're in Columbus. What could you possibly be exploring in Columbus?
The April showers bring flooding to Batmans.
Oh, I see. Spring rains mean basements are flooding.
This not necessary. Apex Pros.
Not necessary. Call Apex Pros.
A simple zoom pump chick.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble understanding this. Zoom pump check. Sump pump check. Are you saying sump pump check?
Oui.
Yes, of course. Sump pump check from the pros who knows at Apex Pros.
They come to your house.
They come to your house.
They test your zoom pump.
They test your, what is it again?
Zoom pump.
Some pump, right.
All with a 5-star guarantee.
All with a 5-star guarantee. Now, see, I understood that perfectly.
No doubt about it. Columbus loves Apex Pros. The pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Weston Air Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
If you love a good pie analogy,
think of the cap as a pie, and once you take out one piece, there's less left for the next guy.
Then this is the radio show for you. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Friday edition. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
Wednesday's Lakers-Mavericks NBA regular season game, that was Luka's first game back in Dallas, averaged 2.26 million viewers on ESPN. It's the network's largest audience of the season, excluding the Christmas Day games. The Lakers' win peaked at 2.79 million viewers. Sports Media Watch compared that number to other notable NBA returns. Anthony Davis's first game in New Orleans back in 2018 averaged 2.34 million on ESPN. LeBron's first game in Cleveland after joining the Heat back in 2010, that had 7.1 million on TNT. His first game in Miami after returning to Cleveland, that was in 2014. It aired on Christmas Day and averaged 9.3 million. His first game in Cleveland after leaving the Cavs for the Lakers had 3.7 million. And then Michael Jordan's first return to Chicago as a member of the Wizards, that was back in 2002. It averaged 4.8 million on NBC, but Sports Media Watch noted the game aired as part of a regionalized window, so some of the country got Lakers Spurs instead of Wizards Bulls. Thing or not a thing?
I think the thing that jumps out to me about this is twofold. Number one, the fact that the Anthony Davis return to New Orleans did slightly better 7 years previously. It tells you how frayed and how much we have pulling at our attention over the last 7 years. You think about just phones and streamers and all this stuff. Like there's no way that there was more anticipation for Anthony Davis' return to New Orleans than Luka's return to. There's just no chance that was the case. It's just not on the same level at all, even at that time. But I just think far more options for our attention now than were then. Also speaks to the incredible power, I think. I think about the college sports and what those numbers have been over the last couple of years. The women's tournament, obviously, the men's tournament. College football is obviously second place only to the NFL. I still think it's a relative win for the NBA that they got that, because I think we have to redefine what success and ratings is with where we are now and how we consume entertainment. It's just there's so much stuff pulling at us that it's rare that everyone kind of heads to the same thing. So I think it's still fine. I think it's a nice win for them in the current climate.
So I think this is a thing in the negative way, and Bo, maybe you're right with that, and how in the past 7 years there's just been that many more options and whatnot. I'm surprised this number was this low. It was a Wednesday night. I don't think a lot was going on. It would have been a little later, obviously, but with all of the buildup and all of the talk about that trade and everything that was going on with that, I thought that this number was going to be higher, and I thought it was going to be significantly higher. I thought it was going to be around maybe double what it got. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot more grabbing our attention, but I feel like this is not a great thing for the NBA, because I feel like that game had as much buzz as just about any in the NBA season this year.
Yeah, I think you're I mean, you have to remember, like, in 2018, what streamers even existed? Like, who was streaming live in 2018? Anybody? Like, live?
Hulu might have, like, just become a thing.
Hulu has live sports. I don't know if that was like 18 or I don't know.
That was
when
then.
That was.
I think they just like were birthed.
Yeah. So like, and Netflix was streaming, but it wasn't live. Like no one was doing live. So I just think we are so spread out in how we consume, which I think really speaks to the incredible nature of the NFL. The other thing it speaks to, guys, I've talked about this a lot. The non-football sports in this country are incredibly regional. You care about the team in your region, but you do not care about the rest of the league. And that's something that's happened where the NFL, you care about everything. College football, you care about everything. You care about stuff that isn't in your region. In the rest of the sports, like you care about your team, and that's kind of it.
Hulu was born in 2008, so 10 years after the birth of Hulu. South Africa.
They weren't doing live sports in 08.
No, it was probably around 2019, 2020. South American soccer's ruling body, otherwise known as CONMEBOL, made an official proposal Thursday to expand the men's 2030 World Cup from 32 teams to 64. For the 100-year anniversary of the World Cup, 3 countries from 2 continents will host the competition. Morocco, Portugal, and Spain are the host nations, but Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay will host 1 game each. The latter, Uruguay, hosted the first World Cup in 1930. Expanding to 64 teams likely would guarantee all 10 CONMEBOL members' countries a place in the tournament. Venezuela is the only one that's never qualified for the World Cup out of that group. If FIFA improves the move, it'll create a tournament of 128 matches, which is double the number of the 64-game format that's been played from 98 through 2022. Thing or not a thing?
Stupid thing. I mean, how long is this going to take? Like all summer?
Everybody's
like 3
expanding.
months? Like, jeez. No, it should be some exclusivity to it. Like watching the World Cup, how many times you're like, oh, I wish such and such were in there.
Gotta get Venezuela in there.
Right. There's usually like one European team that misses out because they have so many quality nations. So like Holland misses a couple times or Italy misses. Like there's usually one of those. But by and large, everybody who needs to get in is getting in. So for the 100th anniversary of the World Cup, you have 3 countries. So their proposal is 3 countries from 2 continents?
No, so that's going to happen.
Oh, that's happening. So that's the Morocco, Portugal, Spain. That's that one.
Yep.
But proximity, those 2 are pretty quick. Close to each other, Morocco, Northern Africa. So that's relatively close proximity there. And then this is the one, they're proposing this for when?
2030.
2030?
Yes, to expand the tournament to add more teams in 2030 because they're going to do 1 match, I think, in Argentina, a match in Paraguay, and a match in Uruguay. I think that's like the knockout round just to pay homage to the 1930 World Cup.
So that's going to be for like 2034?
No. All of this is 2030 potentially.
But you said the 100th anniversary of the World Cup is going to be Morocco, Portugal, Spain.
Yes.
So that's different than this proposal.
No, same proposal.
It's 2030. All of it's 2030.
All of it's for 2030.
They're all fighting for the same spot?
They all get to host.
All right, I've gone cross-eyed. I'm Pepe Silvia. You're telling me that Morocco, Portugal, and Spain are going to host part of it?
Yes.
Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay are going to host part of it?
Yes.
They're each hosting one game?
Those 3 countries are hosting one game. The other 3 are the host nations for 2030. That's happening. The proposal is more teams involved in this. I know. I had to read it a couple times.
Oh, my God.
It's silly. Good luck.
Silly thing.
Good luck to the network.
Here's what they like. They like printing money, and twice the amount of games means a lot more money for FIFA.
So the fact that we just all went cross-eyed doing this proves that this is a stupid thing. Like, if you want to do this for the 100th year, okay, let's expand it one time for that, get more nations involved, whatever. Go back to 32 after that, because you can't tell me there are 32 teams in the world that deserve to be in this tournament, let alone 64. So I know the college football playoff was a success and it made a bunch of money, but I still don't believe there were that many teams that deserved a shot at a national championship. I am against expansion almost every time.
You know what you need? You need a World Cup selection committee.
There you go. Just a minute. I mean, they would go beyond Marriott points. Those are Four Seasons points. I don't even know if Four Seasons does points, but that's what that is. That's how they're going to roll. All right, final hour of the week. Our good buddy Doug Lesmeries going to join us at 11:30. What we learned coming up next, also get you set for the spring game, things we want to see on Saturday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Billy.
Hi, I'm Billy Hatcher, a former professional baseball player, and I'm a patient at Tri-State Men's Health. Before I started the treatment, it was like my body was sore all the time, and I was feeling very, very sluggish. One day, I would be full of energy, and the next day was like, where did all my energy go? And since I've started, my body hasn't felt this good in a long time. I feel like, I'm not 21 to 25 again. It's just been great. I feel very, very comfortable coming here. When you have the energy, it's amazing. You get to do so many other things that you couldn't do prior to that. If you're tired of hurting in the mornings, you want to improve your health, you want to feel better, give a call to Tri-State Men's Health. I promise you, you will feel better.
Thanks, Billy. It's true. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Yeah, boss asked us to get the Ohio Lottery kiosks ready for the new $20 scratch-off, $2 million extreme cash. With $38 million in total prizes, we had to go big. We added cup holders, monster truck tires, even installed air horns in case somebody reveals the extreme symbol and wins every prize on the scratch-off. Boss thinks the light show's a bit much, but gotta celebrate $2 million top prize winners somehow. So yeah, play $2 million extreme cash from the Ohio Lottery. And if you can tell my boss I did a good job, that'd be cool too. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
The Bobcat National Sales Event is happening now at Bobcat Enterprises. Get up to $10,000 in rebates or choose financing as low as 0% for 60 months on the industry's most comfortable compact loaders. See Bobcat Enterprises in Hilliard, Reynoldsburg, or Zanesville today for incredible savings during the National Sales Event, and find the current specials and full line of products at bobcatent.com. Some restrictions apply. Length of contract and rate may vary. Offer ends June 30th, 2025. Bobcat Enterprises, celebrating 50 years of serving you.
Skyline nachos are back, and now there's a spicy version. Get them with Skyline's cheddar or habanero cheese, topped with fiery jalapeno slices. But hurry, Skyline's regular and new spicy nachos are only at participating restaurants for a limited time.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Hit a home run for happy hour and ask your Twin Peaks girl about local specials on drafts, cocktails, shots, and more.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more locally grown goodness to life with a farm-fresh selection of crisp vegetables and juicy, ready-to-eat fruit. Whether topping off kebabs on the grill or adding healthy color to a leafy green salad, your family will definitely enjoy the delicious taste of Meijer produce. Plus, you'll appreciate the selection and savings we have to offer. That's the fresh-picked good life, priced for real life. We work hard to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
Before you start your day, UDF has already started making your breakfast right in our bakery. We've got buttery, flaky croissants baked before the crack of dawn. We're making fluffy buttermilk biscuits from scratch by the time the sun starts to think about rising. And before you hit your first alarm, we've piled our biscuits and croissants high with sausage, egg, and cheese right in store. So come in and grab a fresh one and let us make you a morning person. Fresh baked breakfast sandwiches from United Dairy Farmers. UDF, mornings made for you.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Hey there, I'm Jack.
And I'm Stag.
We're just two deer that want to make sure you know it's deer season at your authorized John Deere dealer. The deer season that saves bucks. You know, like us.
Yeah, you can get $3,000 off select John Deere machines. No early wake-up calls or tree stands required.
Just a trip to your authorized dealer before June 2nd.
If you ask us, it's the only deer season worth celebrating.
Visit johndeere.com/deer season to find an authorized dealer and for complete finance details.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Justin Rose continues to lead as the second round of the Masters rolls along down at Augusta. A bogey at 5 has him even on the day through 7. He's 7 under for the tournament. Ludwig Oberg is 2 back of the lead at 5 under. Bryson DeChambeau birdied the second hole and is at 4 under for the tournament. In college football, Ohio State's going to hold its annual spring game Saturday at noon. You can hear it on the Fan with live pregame coverage tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. In the NFL, the Browns signed free agent quarterback Joe Flacco to a 1-year contract this morning worth a reported $4 million. Flacco was comeback player of the year in 2023 when he quarterbacked the Browns to the playoffs. The 40-year-old Flacco spent last season with the Colts, and the Blue Jackets are still alive for a playoff spot, but they need to win their last 4. Jackets will host the Capitals tomorrow at 12:30. This update is sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.90% APR plus a special rate on balance transfers with a Visa Platinum credit card from BMI FCU.
If you say something with enough confidence, it must be true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Friday. Doug Lesmeries going to join us coming up here in about 28 minutes from now. Right now, though, let's see what we learned.
We're not trying to do too much around here, but over the course of 5 days, you might have gleaned some stuff. Bishop and Friends present What We've Learned This Week.
You know, it's I've got the Masters up here in the studio, and I guess you just would have to go there to see it for yourself. But the grass looks like turf, like perfect turf. They just had Justin Rose like standing in a fairway, ready to hit like a fairway would, and he's standing there, and there isn't. It almost makes you think like it's color corrected or something for television. Like it just doesn't seem possible that grass could be that perfect. But everybody I've talked to who's ever been there says that it is. And I think that's like, we'll get to the quarterback stuff and all of that. And we learned a lot on that side of it. But one thing that I kind of learned about myself, and I guess I probably already knew it, but so maybe the better phrasing is a reminder, is how much I love that golf tournament and how like a rite of spring it is. How it is something that remains kind of untouched by technology. It looks exactly the same. If you watch all the time, I suppose you would notice the whole differences here or there, but it looks the same to the layman's eye as it does every single year. And there is something, too, that we all kind of like about consistency. And consistently, in April, you get this golf tournament with grass that doesn't look real, with nobody on a cell phone while they're hitting tee shots or preparing to putt. No one's got a phone out. There's none of that. Why? Because they don't have them. They don't have them. So it's like, it's one of the last places where that exists in society, where you go to a place and it's kind of untouched. I would imagine it would be incredibly freeing to like check a phone and just be like, I'll see you in 8 hours, man. It's wild. I'm so appreciative of it.
But the patrons, because you can't call them fans, the patrons at Augusta National aren't better than their common folk. And I learned that this week, one of the hottest sellers in their pro shop or the gift shop are Masters gnomes, like Masters garden gnomes. And what I got into yesterday as I'm watching the first round is an eBay rabbit hole of Masters gnomes dating back to like 2017. There was one on sale in 2019 for about $1,300. There was one in 2020 when they played it in November. It's dressed up like Santa Claus. And those things are the hottest sellers right now at the Masters Pro Shop. Like every year they come out with a new lawn gnome. Like this year they had 2 lawn gnomes as salt and pepper shakers. Like mini lawn gnomes is what they're selling. And so I was also trying to look and see what other kind of obscure things that they had. And everything you could slap a Masters logo on, they sell, and people go there. I think it opens Wednesday, then Thursday. People go in there, buy what they can, and then they resell it on eBay. And the market there is nuts for some of these items.
Looking at these gnomes, they look incredible. They kind of look like a fluff cowan with a beard. It's kind of the look of the gnome. Like it's a big, like St. Nick, honestly.
I was going to say Santa Claus in golf attire.
Yeah, kind of looks exactly like Santa Claus. God, that's great. So, yeah, part of the reason they don't have to take any commercial money for this is because of the money they make in the pro shop. Like, their merchandise tent is the stuff of legend, and I can't even... Somebody did a story on it a couple of years ago, and I don't want to put a number on it because it'll be wrong, but I remember reading what they made per day and thinking that is so much greater than even I thought. And I had a high expectation of what they made per day, but it's even more than that.
Bo, kind of going along with your thought here with all of this in the Masters, we love the hits, right? And we love the classics. Yeah. Like we love seeing Jack Nicklaus get up there and Gary Player and do the ceremonial tee shot. We love the classic of the Masters. And as all the things you mentioned, it's kind of a throwback, right? No phones. Yeah, they're so clean. Like everything is pristine and perfect. And we love Freddie Couples being out there at 65, shooting 1 under par, still averaging 275 on the driver. We love seeing Bernhard Langer out there at +2. We love seeing these guys in the mix. And if they make the cut somehow, they're going to be as big a story as the winner almost. So it just reaffirms to me that we love the classics. And usually the classics are the classics for a reason, right?
Yeah, it's nostalgia, right? It's potent, in the words of Don Draper. Go ahead, Reese.
Back in 2023, Golf.com had this. The Masters is going to make about $70 million in merch sales. That's $10 million a day, $1 million an hour, $16,000 a minute, and $277 every second. That's 2023. I'd imagine prices have gone up. I imagine the spending has not. Or I'd imagine the spending has, along with the prices. Like, spending hasn't gone down for these...
So I knew it. I knew it was so staggering that even that would be a number that would. So that's why they don't need any of it. They don't need it because they're not really trying to make money. The money they make on the pro shop is plenty to do everything that they need to do. Loyal listener Rich on social, he said he went to Augusta in 2005. On Wednesday, I saw a guy with a big sack of little green grass circles over his shoulder. He also had a tool that would cut out a similar circle. So if he saw a blemish anywhere, he cut it out and put down one of the circles from his sack. And so that is why you don't ever see any blemish in a fairway. Like there's no repair and replace. Like it's done. There's nothing. It's absolutely pristine. We also probably learned this week that the Columbus Blue Jackets season will come and go without a postseason. Still technically alive for it, but just everything that's kind of happened around them and everything that they did with the lack of winning in March, kind of in early April, led to this point. Played hard in their 2 appearances this week, got results, and so technically still in it, and you don't want to bury them until they're all the way gone. But at the same time, the reality there is that this was probably lost before it got to this point over what happened since the outdoor game. So it's nice to see them get results last 2 times out, Bake. I know you were there. I know you'll be there tomorrow for the game. But at the same time, it is a little hollow watching this play out.
Yeah, but I also learned that they weren't going down without a fight, right? Yeah. And I don't think we didn't expect that. They unfortunately put themselves in a bad position here behind the 8 ball, but it would have been easy for them to fold up shop and head off into the offseason. But no, they're at least going out with a fight here. And like I said, I almost fully expect this to go down to the last day of the season.
You're rooting for the Canadians tonight, playing the Senators.
No, other way.
Rooting for the Senators to beat the Canadians. Yeah, that's a weird spot to be in, rooting for Ottawa, but that's what it's got to be for this team. And I think, again,
we got greedy.
Right now it stinks, right? But I think in a month we're going to look back and I think factor more to where we felt in October about the 24-25 season.
This will be a conversation we have once the season's over, but I think the key for them, and again, it's not done yet. You're still in the mix. But the key for them will be next fall when we reconvene. What did you do this summer to ensure that not only are you not in this spot battling, but that you take a significant step? And that rather than trying to be one of the 2 wild cards, you're one of the 3 that's in. That's what this offseason's about. They have to make sure that there is a big positive step next year in the right direction. This has to be built off of. We can't be in this spot a year from now going, oh, I hope they can wiggle their way into a wild card. That's not. They will have actual expectations and pressure next year.
By the way, Bo, this is something that's kind of gone unnoticed a little bit. I know we've talked a lot about Adam Fantilli this year and the growth he has made. 25 goals on the season for him. Who would have had that Adam Fantilli would get to 25 goals in his career in a season faster than Connor Bedard? Now, I know it's just 2 years for both of them, but he got there before Bedard did.
Yeah. I mean, I did feel like and I don't know how Carlson's going with the Ducks, but I did feel like when they landed Fantilli, it was a hell of a consolation. A lot of disappointment in not getting Bedard, but at the same point, it was a nice consolation getting Fantilli, because going into that draft, it was Bedard and Fantilli was always right there. So, and he's been great, and all those guys do. But now next year there will be real pressure. Speaking of real pressure, there's real pressure in the Ohio State spring game for these quarterbacks to perform. We will get into some of the things we hope to see tomorrow in the spring game, and some interesting comments from Will Howard as well in regard to the draft. We will get to all of that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you consider yourself a Buckeye fan, you've come to the right place. This is your heritage sports talker and home of Ohio State athletics, The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
This is big. Rent-A-Center's biggest discount is on. From April 6th to April 12th, take 50% off the total cost to own on all items in-store or online, only at Rent-A-Center. 50% off offer reduces the total amount necessary to acquire ownership pursuant to rental purchase agreement. Offer valid on new agreements entered into April 6, 2025 through April 12, 2025. Participating locations only.
There's a new way to surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and Market District. Shop Giant Eagle's uncompromising quality at a reliable price with everyday savings. Look for signs throughout the store to find bargains on produce, meat, and more. At Giant Eagle, we combine exceptional customer service and quality foods, all at great value to make the most of your shopping trip. Visit Giant Eagle or Market District today to see how easy it is to save.
Your home is more than just 4 walls and a roof. It's where life happens, where memories are made, where family gathers, and where you should feel safe. At Newman Roofing, we know that when it's time for a new roof, you want to feel confident that you've hired the right company, one that will install a quality roof and complete the work as promised. But with so many roofing companies out there, how do you know which one to trust? For over 30 years, Newman Roofing has helped more than 7,500 families protect their homes with quality roofing, gutters, and siding. We believe you deserve a company that provides a white glove customer experience, one that pays attention to every detail and treats your home like it's our own. At Newman Roofing, we're not just another roofing company. We're a family-built business that stands behind our work. So when it's time to replace your roof, don't settle for uncertainty. Choose the local family with a reputation for excellence. Choose the company you can trust. Newman Roofing. Call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit us online at newmanroofing.com. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Fish has been named the third best sports program director in the country. Winner. The two dudes who finished ahead of him are dead. So we're declaring him the winner. You're listening to the home of champions, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
You can stream the game on your phone while you're gardening. You can stream it while you walk the dog. You can stream it at a trampoline park. You can even stream it at a monster truck rally. But the second you get behind the wheel, the game's over. Remember, Ohio, phones down. It's the law.
This is Pause Before You Play, and it's time for more game day picks from local sports fans. You're on the air. Who you got?
Actually, I'm not betting, just chilling and watching the game.
I know that move, a pause. Sounds like you've got a winning strategy.
Exactly. After I set limits and recognized the risk, I knew it was time to stop.
Now that is responsible betting, folks. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. Make a plan at pausebeforeyouplay.org. That's pausebeforeyouplay.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Cloudy skies continue this afternoon, high near 50. We'll clear it tonight as freezing temperatures move back in. We'll start Saturday cold, but more sunshine will take us to the mid-50s by the afternoon. We'll be in the 60s on Sunday with a few more clouds, and 70s Monday, but the day will end with a chance for showers and storms in the forecast. That's your latest 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
Here's a listener tweet. Are Men and Bone stupid in real life? Yes. Yes, they are. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan. With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is, and we are sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 78 years. Some interesting comments from former Buckeye quarterback Will Howard in an ESPN story. Quote, I believe I'm the best quarterback in this class. I think there's unbelievable talent, but if you're going to be a competitor at the end of the day, you have to have belief in yourself. I think that's what helps me get through these adverse times. He spoke about his pro day. He said, blank happens. You got to be able to deal with it. It's the mentally tough people that are able to overcome those things. I think in my career, I've just had to do that over and over again, and I've realized it's a never-ending cycle. The reason that I wanted to get into this just for a minute is the news of the day that Joe Flacco is returning to Cleveland. So the Browns will have Flacco, they will have Kenny Pickett, and then they'll draft a quarterback to go to that room. I do not believe that they will draft one at 2. My hunch is that they will take Travis Hunter at number 2. Could I see them trading back into the first round if, for example, they really like Shedeur Sanders and he falls? Could they jump ahead of Pittsburgh and take him? Or if somehow he gets by New Orleans, do they jump up into the middle of the teens and take him? I think Atlanta picks at 15. That might be a potential trade bait. I know some folks have kind of postured about that. I think if you don't do that, though, then at 33, I don't know that you have to take one there either. Especially if it's Tyler Shuck, who's 26 years old and the same age as Kenny Pickett. At that point, I think you could add more weapons and potentially address quarterback at 67, or you could just wait and address one even later, and maybe there's somebody that you can turn something into. Would I be surprised if Will Howard is a competent, solid NFL quarterback who stays on a roster for a long time? No. That feels like kind of the minimum that he will be. Do I think in the right circumstances he could be a very solid NFL quarterback? Yeah, Yeah, I think in the right circumstances. I think if he got into one of these Shanahan systems, wide zone, flip your head, throw it to the open guy that we schemed up, I think he could do that. There's arm issues, obviously, in terms of driving the ball to the edges that aren't elite. It's well known, but at the same time, he's an ultimate gamer, ultimate leader, competitor, and in the right circumstance, I think he could have a very good career. I would watch for him at a place like Cleveland. I would watch for him at a place like the Rams. I would watch for him at a place maybe even like a Minnesota, a Miami, something like that. I think there are spots where he could flourish.
I think you even saw it if you watched the Gruden camp with Will Howard. Just his incredible football IQ, his incredible leadership ability, his incredible understanding of what it takes to be a professional. And I think that carries, with a guy, especially like John Gruden, who's been everywhere and done everything you can in the NFL, that carries so much with teams. And now is he going to be like one of those unicorns, like ever competing, in the Burrow category? No, but I don't think anybody thinks that. But there is a tremendous amount of what could be because of how he is as a person and how he's made good decisions with the football. And I think that's maybe for a quarterback with not the biggest arm or the most wow talent. If you make good decisions with the football and you can lead a group, every team could use one of those guys, whether it's the starter or whether it's the backup.
It's interesting, Bo. Reese and I were talking in one of the breaks here, and I feel like Joe Flacco coming back to Cleveland makes Will Howard more of a logical fit in Cleveland because, as Reese's term that he has coined, can teach a dog how to dog. I think there's a lot of similarities between Flacco and Will. Now, I don't think Will has Flacco's arm strength, but Flacco doesn't have Will's mobility. But I think they're both big-bodied quarterbacks. They're both very smart, and they're both very good in the room. They're good leaders, and people really like that. And I think Will Howard could learn a lot from a guy like Joe Flacco, and it could help him out.
Well, I think I think what you're hitting on is right. Then you start to think of like the other guys in that mix. I mean, that's a Kyle McCord, right? Like, does Kyle McCord, who's maybe got a bigger, stronger arm than Will, is that a landing spot for him? I think that's what the Flacco signing does. It allows for them with Pickett and Flacco to take a guy who can come in and be developed and swing at something big. Right? Like you could swing at somebody with a high upside. I don't know who a lot of people think that would be Milroe. I would tend to think that the signing of Flacco would make Milroe less and less likely because there is a type of quarterback that they are looking for here. And to me, Milroe does not fit that type in terms of accuracy and spinning ahead and throwing it right where it's been schemed open. This also means very likely that Kirk Cousins is going to play this year in Atlanta. That's another big thing that this probably means. The only landing spot for Cousins that isn't already there would be if Aaron Rodgers decides not to play football. If Aaron Rodgers decides to not play football, then I suppose Cousins could land in Pittsburgh. But that feels like it's Rodgers' landing spot all along. So the quarterback kind of musical chairs is now over. There's really, you're just waiting on Pittsburgh. That's it. There's nothing else out there from a quarterback with a chance to start or a bridge quarterback or any of that. It's cooked. Everybody's been accounted for. So interested to see what happens on the Aaron Rodgers side. Go ahead, Vic.
Real quick, I think it's funny that John Gruden liked Will Howard so much, and of course John Gruden's connections to the Raiders in the past, and not only Chip Kelly being at the Raiders.
Yeah,
but
point.
I think Geno Smith might be a good comparison to Will Howard and the career Will Howard could have. A guy that maybe doesn't have the strongest arm, a good leader, is mobile, and that might be a really good spot too for Will to learn behind Geno Smith, who I think is a guy that's probably pretty comparable.
I think from a quarterback wish list perspective, you just want a chance to be curated. That's really it. I think if you're looking for what this could mean from the Browns' perspective, you have Flacco, you have Pickett, so you have a young guy that you can. I mean, hell, if you're going to take Tyler Shuck at 26, you kind of already have him in Kenny Pickett. You've got a 26-year-old that was identified as a first rounder. Like you kind of can just have him be the young guy to see if there's something to that, all while also drafting another guy. So to me, if I'm them, I'm at 2 overall. I'm going Travis Hunter. At 33, I'm going best weapon on the board, whoever that is. If that's Emeka Ibuka and he falls, or Luther Borden if he falls, or whatever, like, I'm best weapon at 33. And then at 67, I might be having a conversation about quarterback. But I think now you say to yourself, all right, we can be competitive but we need some weapons to add to that to help buttress it. And that would be my thinking with the signing of Flacco today. Go ahead, Reese.
With Cousins, is it more likely that the Steelers if Cousins were to land in Pittsburgh, would it be more likely that it's because Atlanta just lets him go, or would they have to trade something for him?
I think it would be like Russell Wilson last year. Like, the Broncos cut him, they paid all the salary, and then he played for next to nothing in Pittsburgh. That's my hunch, Reese. I don't think anyone. And by the way, why would they even want to give up anything for Cousins? There's no bidding war. There's nobody else out there that's knocking down the door to get him. So now that the Browns are out of the mix and have their veteran quarterback to go with their young guy they acquired in Pickett, they really don't need to swim in those waters anymore. So, like, to me, Cousins is either going to be the backup in Atlanta to Michael Penix, or he'll be a Pittsburgh Steeler if they don't get Aaron Rodgers. There's no other landing spots. It also muddies the water for Shedeur Sanders, which you say, okay, now is that – I think that's why the betting favorite for him to land somewhere is now – isn't it the Saints, I thought?
New Orleans at 9.
Yeah. So that's starting to look like New Orleans at 9 for Shedeur is kind of the landing spot there. This is the – I mean, we're spending all of this time all week and really for a month talking about the Buckeye quarterbacks and trying to identify them. And, no one ought to know these guys better than Ryan Day and his staff and all of it, right? But it's still the hardest thing in sport to do, is to identify that quarterback, curate them, develop them, put them in a position to succeed, and then have them go play that out on the field. You have these draft conversations, and we're still a couple of weeks from the draft, and you have them over and over and over again, and you try to – people come up with these hard and fast opinions of Shedeur's a bust, or he's overrated, he's all of this. How do you know? How do you know? And by the way, if it is Cleveland, let's say Cleveland goes back into the first round, and people are like, oh, you can't give up 33 and 67 for Shedeur. Why? Why? You'd be lucky if you hit on 50% of your picks. Lucky. Like, if you have a guy you like, go get him. Go get him with conviction. If he falls and you love him, not at 2, but you love him at 15, and it's worth 33 and 67 and a 2 next year, fine. Go do it. It's a hard process, man.
That's still, to me, and I get what you're saying, that's still to me very weird, and it's greedy of the Browns. Because if you like Shedeur that much, you can make sure you get him at 2.
I don't know that they like him enough for that. This isn't pay attention to the scores. You've seen Wall Street, right? You've seen Wall Street, Beck?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Douglas?
Yeah.
Greed is good. That potentially could be it. But I just think sometimes this time of year we overvalue, like, picks. You see people do that. Oh, you can't give up this and this. Well, why? Half of these things hit at best. If you're at your very best, half of them hit. The rest of them don't. So I think sometimes we overvalue picks a little bit. But I do think you have clarity now at 2 that it feels very much like Travis Hunter will be the pick at 2 for the Cleveland Browns. The spring game is tomorrow at Ohio Stadium. Spring practice is going on around the country. A big story out of Tennessee with Nico Imalieva attempting to renegotiate his contract publicly. Some unprecedented stuff there. We'll visit with our good buddy Doug Lesmeries on that in 2 minutes, among other things. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Look, there's feelings, and then there's the facts. If you're feeling like your finance team is bogged down in mundane manual tasks, the fact is, you need Ramp. Ramp is the corporate card that makes the expense process fast and easy. The moment your team makes a purchase, Ramp handles everything. Receipt collection and approvals, the works. With Ramp, you can cut your month-end close from 5 days to 1, customize approval workflows, and get complete control over every transaction. Facts. Over 25,000 businesses trust Ramp, including Shopify and the Boys and Girls Club of America, which is why they were just named #1 in spend management by G2. Facts. Start using Ramp and you'll have more time to spend scaling your business. And that'll feel really good. Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's RAMP.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here from my friends at High Bank Distillery Co., located right here in Columbus. Introducing their newest product, 614 Vodka, Ohio's house vodka. Perfect to make a drink at home or try when you're out at your favorite local restaurant. Learn more at 614vodka.com.
It's Lindsay's one and only trade-a-thon.
We'll trade for anything. Plus, give you $1,000 more for your trade. Choose a 2025 Honda Ridgeline RTL or an all-wheel drive HR-V LX or a CR-V LX and pay just $299 a month. 3 models with one very low Lindsay price.
Trade up to the reliability of a new or certified Honda.
So lock in your price today. The one and only Lindsay Honda Trade-a-thon is back. See lindsayhonda.com for details.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution specialists.
10 feet tall and bulletproof isn't just a saying, it's a way of life. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, let's get smarter, kids. We head on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline conversation with our good buddy Doug Lesmeries, Kings of the North, of course, with Bill Landis, and he joins us there. Doug, thank you so much for taking the time, my friend. We had kind of the first one of these that I'm aware of, and that is an NIL negotiation taking place during spring football and taking place publicly. We see this in the NFL all of the time, but this is, I'm referring to Nico Imalieva at Tennessee and a negotiation that's taking place in the wide open. I guess it was inevitable, but it's still an interesting thing when it pops on your timeline, is it not?
Yeah, I don't know that I had this on my bingo card. You know, although, of course, now that it's happening, you're not shocked. But it's hard because I think there's a lot of traditional college football fans who during the course of all of this have said, oh, man, my sport, what's happening to my sport?
Sure.
And I think, for a lot of us, the answer is, sorry, but this is just the way of the world. The ball on Saturday is still great. This is a step, though, where it's I could see people being what are we doing?
Yeah.
This for real? Don't you have loyalty to your school and all that kind of thing? So every time something like this happens and it feels like the sport is breaking a little bit more, I just hope it's always in service of the final solution, which is some kind of collective bargaining. You sit down at the table and make up a set of rules together. So I hope that this is another step in that. But, man, I get it if people are this is crazy.
The powers that be in the sport, and they were on Brett Baer's show yesterday on Fox News, and I don't think that's by coincidence either, right? They're really hoping that an aligned House, Senate, and presidency will view things in their favor. And the thing, you listen to them talk, and this is, Yormark and Sankey and Petiti and all these guys, and Jim and Phillips, and you listen to them talk, and you hear what they have to say, and they're basically please save us from ourselves. Yeah. We don't really want anything to change for us, but we really need it to kind of go back to what it used to be for the athletes. And there's no real solution they put up at all. Use the term final solution. There isn't. They have no interest in that, Doug. I had Paul Feinbaum on yesterday. I'm you were at the Final Four. Is anybody talking hey, man, maybe we ought to just unionize this and collectively bargain it and get some contracts? And he's no, none of that.
Right. No, it's they want certainty without employment.
Yeah.
Which is I think an impossible line to walk. Right. How can you get to that? So I do think there's been various things floated about could you have something where you bargain with players like they are employees without calling them all the way employees? Is there a middle ground there?
Yeah.
But you can't create certainty and structure in a one-sided manner. You can't just impose that. We're past that. The NCAA now, and that you said that's what they want Congress. That's what they want the political world to do, is to impose something. But I don't. Do any of us believe? Even if they get the political world to do that, it's still temporary. That's not the final solution. It might get you through, a cycle of an election, but it's not what this is going to be like in the end. So everything with the NCAA is don't be proactive, hold on by your fingernails until you're pushed off the cliff, which is frustrating. And that's they're at the edge of the cliff and they're hanging on. And I think people like us are waiting for them to be okay, let's work this out. and they're still hanging on.
There was at the Final Four before the national championship game, they had a moment of silence for a guy who used to be the president of the NCAA. The name escapes me at the moment, but he looked like everybody else who's been the head of the NCAA, Doug.
Yeah.
And they are these lifelong guys typically come in the university system. They're in their mid to late 60s, and this is the final shot to make a bunch of money and be a grand poobah. But they're really not interested in changing anything. They're really just interested in, I'll just pass this on to the next guy. Like, I just want to keep this gig for a couple of years and I'll hand it to the next guy. Nobody ever wants anything real.
No, and then the solution here was like to make now the new NCAA president a politician. Let's get a governor. Like, that's the new thing. Like, hey, but which is indicative of what they're thinking, which is they want the governmental political world to save them. But I think we saw a lot of this. I think, on a micro level, when Gene Smith retired as Ohio State's athletic director, I think a lot of us, and I think Gene Smith in many ways was progressive, but I think he would admit in many ways he was part of the old guard. Like, he didn't ever want to get to fully paying players and having them be employees. He didn't want them to be employees.
No.
He was progressive and like, hey, let's give them as much as we can in other ways. So, like, I thought it was like, okay, this is the changing of the guard. Gene wasn't the only AD that moved on. But as you said, at the top level, actually the decision makers who really rule the sport, Tony Petitti as the Big Ten commissioner, that's new because he's a TV guy.
Yeah.
So that is maximize money, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is think about the sport as a television property, but there's not a similar – I don't know who's the most progressive, forward-thinking, and not even progressive in like – pro player or anything, but like solution-minded in the modern world. Who is that person in the NCAA?
He's probably Yormark, right, at the Big 12, but I think he's kind of doing it to try to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, it is like self-preservation because
right,
you're not
that's what I think.
Too,
yeah.
Right? And it's one of those, I mean, this is not what people on a Columbus radio show want to hear. Among the people in college sports who have had a recent voice, to make one of the more solution-minded people in this thing was Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Like, for real. He talked about this. But I don't know. It's going to take, I think, at some point, coaches want certainty at all costs, right? I think coaches would rather know this is how we can shape our roster and we're not going to have our quarterback threatening to be a free agent during spring football. They'd rather have them called employees, and they'd rather collectively bargain than have that. But I don't know how much they'll listen to the coaches. But I think the more it breaks, the more the coaches would say, we got to do something. This is untenable.
Well, since you and I have been talking, Pete Thamel with this, Tennessee quarterback Nico Amalieva did not attend Tennessee spring practice today. He's been in conversation with Tennessee about a new contract. The no-show of practice came as a surprise. I mean, this is an NFL holdout. This is the kind of stuff like, yeah. I mean, this is, it's a one-man strike. Yep.
Right. So, and this is a kid from California who was a national recruit who picked Tennessee initially, I think, because of NIL, at least in some part. This guy didn't grow up wearing orange. So then it's like, how dare you do this? Where's your loyalty? It's like, well, how do you think you got him in the first place?
Yeah.
So
Doug, the other thing that's crazy about this is the terminology here about a new contract. We all know they can't have contracts.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I mean,
what are we doing?
18 months ago, we were still talking about, hey, do you have to do like a charity event to make sure that your NIL is allowable, right? And now we're just talking about he's demanding a new contract and is holding out. So,
wow.
This is – but like the players have to look out for themselves. Who thinks this is good? Because I follow like a bunch of lawyers and things who are just, in the sphere – who are always pro player at every step of the way, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, should a player be able to be a free agent between second down and third down because you can't limit their rights? Like some of the guys are like that. And it's like, it's a sport, competitive balance, like roster certainty, all this stuff kind of matters. It's not the same as a college student who's in a band, right? It's not the same. And so, but who thinks this is the way of the world? And so, again, it's like, okay, this feels like this is a crack. Mm-hmm. Does it lead to a solution? Because the problem is, as you said, we're seeing more and more cracks.
Yeah.
Are we seeing any solutions?
Well, what's different? What happens when this is next December with the team in the playoff? That's when That's when it's even different. Like Tennessee will get this sorted out. My hunch is he goes nowhere, and they'll come up with the money and they'll make him happy and everybody will win. But what happens when a kid does this in December and they're like, yeah, I'm not playing in the playoff unless I get this. And that's probably that's that crack that becomes a flood.
Yeah.
Is that type of thing when that happens. But I still don't know that there's a solution with any of it. One thing that, and I know you're not at every availability and certainly not at every practice, but as the king of the North, you're certainly paying attention to the current people sitting on the crown, and that is Ohio State. Ryan Day has been very open this camp, and I praised him for this, for acknowledging they open with Texas and that it's different when you open with Texas. The other thing that he's been pretty open with, and I believe him and take him at his word, is that this quarterback competition at the top two is truly neck and neck. When's the last time we had one like that? And what do you think by the time we get to next fall, what is a timeline? He's always taken these quarterback competitions into August. But the timeline's different now.
Well, I mean, Brown and McCord was this, right? I mean, Devin Brown and Kyle McCord went down to, the week before the season. So if this is that, I also think, making sure that your five-star quarterback who has never really played is pushed and doesn't assume anything is like a great strategy. It doesn't mean that I don't think it's a real competition, but I also would just caution anybody of like, if you're getting off the Julian Sand bandwagon, like this is exactly how I would go. I do think, even if you were pretty sure Sam was going to be the guy, you still want him pushed. I still think Day values traits. So it's like production matters, but I still think long-term traits are going to win. And on Kings of the North, we've talked a little bit about the idea of September quarterback, December quarterback. When you don't have to win every game, you don't have to be perfect week one. So maybe in a situation where in a 14 playoff, you thought if you lose to Texas, you might be up against the wall in the playoff discussion immediately. You might need to go with the guy that has the highest floor, right? That isn't going to throw 3 picks and kill you. In this world, they can lose to Texas.
Yes.
And so if that, this is CJ Stroud wasn't perfect in his first year as a starter, right? And then by the end of the year, he was a Heisman finalist. I still think that track for Sayin makes the most sense. And actually, you have so much more wiggle room now than you did when CJ Stroud did it. So they're aiming for Texas, but they know Texas is not the end-all, be-all. And I do think that would affect how Dave views all this stuff.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Going to be a fun spring game tomorrow at Ohio Stadium. Sure. Always enjoy our conversations, my friend. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me, brother. You know it. Thank you.
All right, there he goes, Doug Lesmeries, King of the North, in the podcast with Bill Landis on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. 3 things for a successful Buckeye spring game coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
Steel walk behind, zero turn, and stand on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
This Ohio State football spring practice report is brought to you locally on the Fan by Roosters and by your Ohio Kubota dealers.
Ohio State football spring practice report.
With the spring game tomorrow at Ohio Stadium, head coach Ryan Day said it was important to have a game-like situation in the Horseshoe.
Yeah, it's huge, especially when you started, a season with a team like Texas coming in the door. And so we wanted to get a lot of this done, this spring. And a big piece of that is now the spring game. We weren't sure how we were going to play the spring game. And now convinced more than ever we got to do it this way so that, the quarterbacks are doing this for the first time. They're playing in front of a big crowd, making that more normalized so they almost become numb to it. It's a day to enjoy each other, we're going to have some of the players from, the national championship team here. So fans get a chance to spend some time, maybe visiting with them, seeing them on the field, but then also a glimpse into the future of what next year is going to look like.
This report brought to you by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and by Weber Grills on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Imagine a tailgate. The heat of the flame, the sizzle of the burger, the squeeze of the ketchup. Grilling is essential to tailgating as the game itself. Weber grills are there in the hours, minutes, and even seconds before kickoff. Before the best damn band in the land plays the battle cry, signaling it's time to take the field. Weber is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. This season, Weber created an officially licensed limited edition Ohio State grill inspired by the iconic Buckeye helmets. Find the best damn grill in the land at local Ohio retailers.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
It's Kubota Orange Days. From America's #1 selling compact tractor to zero-turn mowers and versatile RTVs, get your perfect match delivered to your door. Now through June 30th, get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,500 off BX23S tractors. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
Visit BuckeyeKubotaDealers.com to find a dealer near you.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Keep your friends close and your producers closer. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, here's where you stand at Augusta. Justin Rose is just finished his front nine. He is at 8 under par after a birdie on 8, got him back to 8. He bogeyed 5 and then got back to 8. 2 shots clear of Bryson DeChambeau, who is 3 under on his day. Now it's 6 under. Incredible stuff out of him as he is now just 2 shots back. Ludwig Oberg dropped one, so he is at 4 under at this point. Go ahead, Bake.
Bo, I just saw this. Ken Griffey Jr. is working at Augusta this weekend as a credentialed photographer.
Yeah, he's done that at the Super Bowl.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's done that at the Super Bowl. It's his great passion. I don't know if he sells any of it or if he's a photographer for an entity or if it's just his own personal passion. But yeah, I've seen him do that at the Super Bowl, like NBA Finals. Like, can you imagine? Like, you're a videographer, a photographer, and you show up to show your spot. So the way it works at the Super Bowl is you have an assigned spot to stand. So there's so many cameras that are on the field, and you have an assigned spot. So you imagine getting to your assigned spot, and the guy next to you is Ken Griffey Jr.?
Sitting on the floor baseline at a basketball game, and Junior's just chilling next to you, hat on backwards, gold chain, blowing a bubble.
Yeah, it's crazy. But very cool. But Bryson DeChambeau making a run at this thing very, very bigly. Reese, what do you have in the poll today?
Daily Fan Poll sponsored by Caster Connection and asks, will the Blue Jackets' playoff hopes still be alive come Monday morning? No is getting 79% of respondents.
No.
They got to do 2 from the Capitals.
It hurts my heart.
It's not just that, though. Like, it's the Canadian side of it, too. Like, if any Canadians win, and that's it. So, yeah, it's uphill. It's very, very uphill. All right, time for 3 things on a spring game football Friday.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Buckeye Lake Marina, Central Ohio's largest selection of new and pre-owned boats. Find your next dream boat at BuckeyeLakeMarina.com.
Oh, baby. That gets the feelers. That gets you all jacked up. Won't hear it again until August, but you get it today. Number one for me, I'm a simple man, and I think I want what all of you want, and I want the quarterbacks to play clean. I don't. You have no rooting interest in this. You just want the best one to win, and you just want them to play clean. So I hope that what we get, typically in spring games, quarterback and offense are a little bit behind. I hope we get a clean performance out of those young quarterbacks. I'm excited to see them. I think all of you are. It's why I think so many are going to show up tomorrow. By the time it all is said and done, I think they're going to have a very nice crowd. I think you want to see the future quarterback at Ohio State, and the future. When you play quarterback here, you're a pro. There's a while it was you're a first-round pick, but even McCord and Howard are both going to be mid-round draft picks. Like, you play quarterback here, you're a pro. Somebody on this roster, and potentially multiple players on this roster, are going to be pros, and I hope they just have a really nice day. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these kids. I hope they have a nice day tomorrow. It's where all of our eyes are going to be, but obviously mine will be there right away.
I hope the day's nice for both of them, or for all three of them, rather, and I hope the coaching staff gives them the chance to challenge the defense deep. I also hope that Matt Patricia's defense, either the ones, the twos, or the threes, is allowed to answer that challenge deep. This is going to be one of those things where you can't really wade into the season, right? As we've talked before, it's Texas. So this has to be the moment where, or at least one of only several moments you're going to get to really be challenged and to challenge that kill shot.
Number one thing for me is some of these young guys that we've been hearing about on the defensive side of the ball that have been so good in spring. The Devin Sanchez's, the Aaron Scotts, the Bryce Wests, the Peyton Pierces, guys like that. I want to see them step up and live up to the hype from spring practice that we've had, because we're replacing 8 starters on this defense. All the depth that you can have is a big, big thing here on this defensive side of the ball. So these young defenders, love to see them step up.
Yeah, and I think number two for me, it's similar to what you just asked for defensively. It's similar for me offensively. I don't think we're going to see much of Four. I don't think we'll see much of Carnell Tate. So there is a stable of young, talented receivers that I want to see put some stuff on tape. I want to see what these new running backs look like. I want to see how they are in pass pro. We've spent so much time talking about quarterback, and we have acknowledged it. We've talked about it at time this spring, but like, you're replacing 2 probably second-round tailbacks. We had 2 of them last year. So you're starting new there. You got to replace Emeka Egbuka. There are big questions. Reese has spent a lot of time talking about the tackles and the offensive line, but I want to see the young skill weapons kind of highlighted tomorrow, receiving passes and doing pass protection, receiving handoffs from this young quarterback group that we're dealing with.
Well, you teased it. I'd like to see as clean of a performance from the offensive lines as possible. I don't know how much laundry they're going to throw in terms of the officials, but I don't want this to look this can't look super clunky if you want me feeling good about Ohio State's offense coming back Monday morning. Like, this needs to be whomever's out there with the ones, the twos, or the threes, as clean as possible from a procedural standpoint. No nonsense of false starts or offsides or anything down the field. Just any nonsense, just condense it, please.
Number 2 for me, we've talked a lot this year about wide receiver depth. We know the first 3, right? And Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Brandon Ennis. The talent is in that room, but the depth we just don't know yet. That's why I think I want to see a big spring game from the tight ends. I don't think we have had a weapon at tight end like Max Clare in a long time, and an athlete like Jelani Thurman. I would love to see Ohio State establish the tight ends in spring and that roll over into the fall.
Yeah, finally, new faces, right? I'm excited to see Matt Patricia in full Buckeye regalia handling his defense. I'm curious to see what that looks like. A bunch of young guys on that side of the ball that got to step up as well. Again, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of Caleb Downs. I don't think we should see a whole lot of him. So who are some of the guys that are lining up back there? I know Threes loves these young linebackers. We're about Peyton Pierce all spring. Like, does he get to kind of shine a little bit in a big spot? The young guys, think about Devin Sanchez, the kid from Houston, who, when you saw the images of him, like, walking around at Texans camp that we shared last fall, you're like, my God, is that a Texans corner. Oh, no, that's an 18-year-old. So what do those guys look like as well? This is what makes spring so magical. It is our first look and the first time for a lot of these guys in a uniform. Talked about Tavian St. Clair. Like, there's so much juice to that, to be a kid who grew up in Bell Fountain and putting on that uniform and throwing the ball around in that stadium. That stuff's undefeated. So there's a lot of excitement for all of that stuff. But these young guys, this young freshman class, what did they look like? What did Patricia and what did Hartline look like in their new roles, especially Matt? Those things are all curious. I can't wait to see that.
I was wondering, and this will be my third thing, and obviously health the most important of them, but where Patricia, where Hartline, where Ryan Day observe and call this game from? Is this a thing where, like with Urban, they would just follow the offense down the field, or Patricia would be on the sideline, or is Patricia in the booth? Or does Hartline make the move to the booth after whatever they're going to do with a halftime thing? It's like, where are these guys going to be? Because this, for them, for Hartline, for Patricia, who's, I think Matt's probably been in Ohio Stadium only a handful of times. Where is he going to feel the most comfortable calling his defense from?
Patricia, as with the Patriots, was on the sidelines. Hartline's always been on the sidelines, but if he's play calling, does he go up? Knowles was in the booth. Interesting.
And Chip was in the booth last year, too, so it'll be interesting to see. My last thing, you can't have a successful spring game with injuries. Everybody stay healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And just keep it locked right here. We're going to take care of you tomorrow in the spring game. Fan pregame starts at 10 a.m. with AR, Tim May, and Dave Biddle. Then the network coverage starts at 11:45. Tickets still available, $8. No fees on those. So $8 gets you in the door to see the future of Ohio State football. Enjoy it out there, kids. Going to be a fun one. We'll break it all down and, of course, overreact on Monday. Rothman and Ice coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing else to say. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Can I get Mega Millions?
Good choice. Mega Millions is bigger than ever. Jackpots now start at $50 million and grow faster.
Sounds mega.
And now, every game has a built-in multiplier. So all non-jackpot prizes are multiplied between 2 and 10 times.
Bigger prizes, better odds, and just $5? Give me 2.
Mega Millions is bigger and better than ever. Get your tickets today at your local Ohio lottery retailer. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
We've all got our daydreams, right? Little things, big things, things one day you'll do. Then, out of nowhere, cancer. And all your plans don't change a bit. I would know. I'm about to jump out of an airplane with my dad. Our first time skydiving solo. And my second year since starting cancer treatment at Ohio Health. All right, Dad, let's go. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keep-making-plans.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Spring forward, Columbus, with the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling Services. We're here to thaw you out with this limited time offer. Get up to $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer is too good to pass up. The Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling now together to serve you better with $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer won't last. Call us today, 614-232-2222. That's 614-232-2222.
The sports calendar is heating up, and with ESPN Bet Sportsbook, you can go from checking news and stats to placing bets in just a couple of taps. Stream games, bet live, and get exclusive offers when you link your ESPN account. Right now, you can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code JOEQ to get started today. That's JOEQ, Joe Q. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on Green Bay's team. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, I think I saw a fox on my way in.
Oh, that was the Carfax Carfox. He was congratulating us on our Carfax Top-Rated Service Center Award.
I have always rated Tire Discounters at the very top.
Oh, thanks. So does Carfax. And not just for tires, but for all our services, too.
Alignment, brakes, shocks and struts, and more.
Yes, sir.
But, Mike, do you think people believe Carfax over me?
Well, you are the Phantom tire buyer.
Exactly.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.